We like to just kind of go on, and we're just having a good time.
Dude, this is like an old thing. I mean, this is a bit of a peek behind the curtain, but this is actually an old argument between me and Matt that we're living through, which is that I would do that every time. I would show up to recording time. I would be like, yeah, let's warm up. That's what I would always call it, is like, oh, let's warm up. We just talk about whatever. Just to
me.
Yes, exactly. Just to exercise your conversation muscles, because that's what a podcast is. It's a conversation. And nah, he didn't like that so much. So he
wanted to exercise the real muscles. He like flex his arm on you and stuff.
Well, he had like a child, so like he's like, listen, this is time away from my kid. And so therefore he was a little more like, let's get in, let's turn it on, and let's roll. And by the way, that is where we got to eventually. If you listen to the last like 2 to 3 years of Space Cats with me and Matt, we don't talk at all before. Literally, it would just be like, hi,
and we're rolling.
Turn it on. You're literally hearing us have like our first conversation of the day, which I guess also has its own energy.
It does.
How are you doing? What's going on in your life right now?
Oh, well, that's a deep question.
That's a big question.
I don't know if I want to go too deep into that one, because there are some not so fun things, but the fun things is there's a community plays TI game that's really wacky going on right now.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard about this one, but so it's a Wecker homebrew special. It's called Oops One Deck. So the concept of this game is you don't get, like, anytime you would draw a card, like a planet card, a technology card, a action card, a agenda, a promissory note for your opening hand, any of these things, instead of drawing from the normal deck you would get them from, you just get it from one deck. So for example, my team has the Rigel's system next to us.
Yeah.
We explored and we found Carrier 2. And what else did we get? We got a relic. We got Solar Converter, I think, was the relic that we drew as an explorer.
Wow, what a start.
And like, we had one of the action cards for like the explorers, like draw 2 cards. There's some weird things because, like,
sure,
clearly if you're researching a tech to spend a token and 4 resources to draw 1 card from the same deck is a lot worse deal than, like, drawing off politics with like 2 cards for 1 token.
Just should never tech. Tech is dead now.
So that's what I originally thought too, but Wecker made it at least a little bit juiced up to where, like, you scry 3 first, and then you pick the best one. So there's some value to doing it, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's a really wacky mode, and like
it's crazy.
It's moving slowly, and it's one of those things that it's so wacky. Like, Wecker has to like do it all by hand, and so like we're just waiting on like, what is our explore for this planet, and it's been reminiscent of like the really old days when I first joined CPTI, and like Bort used to always do this all by hand. Shout out to my son is also named Bort, who started that server. But yeah, so it's been really wacky, and we're just like embracing it. We had an agenda that came up mid-game. That's the Swords to Plowshares, right? Everybody gets an infantry, or everybody turns dudes into money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that happened mid-agenda, or mid-action phase.
That's my question is, when an agenda comes up, do you just go straight into voting? Like,
most of the time, yes.
Wow.
Most of the time, yes. You just go straight into voting.
Well, wait. So what do you say most of the time? What would be the reason that you would?
Because there was one. I think it was anti-intellectual revolution came up, and for that one, for whatever reason, I heard it was going to be different. And instead of just like exhausting all the tech skip planets when it was no value or not impacting the table, we were going to have to wait until the agenda phase to do that, which was That one, I don't know. That felt weird to me, but whatever. It's a wacky game mode for sure.
So we've got, it's like Wecker is just kind of live ruling, like on the any problems that there might be. We're just kind of like translating it as we go.
Well, and here's the other thing too. Like when you draw your opening secret objectives, one of our secret objectives was Cruiser 2.
That's so good. That's so good.
So in order for us to score a half point, we had to research Cruiser 2. But in order to research Cruiser 2, we have to
just blew my mind.
We have to find the prerequisites for Cruiser 2 first.
Okay.
Which
wait. Okay, I'm sorry. So you're saying when you draw your secret objectives, you're drawing, they are secret objectives.
No, they're from the deck, deck.
But yes, I understand that you could be drawing anything.
Yeah.
But it's going to function as a secret objective for you. Like it's not, I draw my secret objectives and then we decide, well, this is actually a tech and I'm going to have it as a tech. No.
No, that's your secret. Yeah. Your secret is a technology that you have to research somehow.
Wow. That's mind-blowing. Wait, so how do public objectives work? What are the public objectives?
So someone has to find them.
Okay. This is a waste of time.
And if you draw a public objective, you are the one that can score it first, and then after you score it, other people can choose to score it later.
Wow.
Yeah. There are some public objectives out there already too, but like you can just draw public objectives naturally also.
Of course.
Yeah. So like if you draw one like off politics, if you draw a public objective, you're the first one that gets to try to do it.
That's great. So okay, so how far into the game are you guys?
It's still round 1.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a long time to play this game. It's all manual. It requires Wecker to be like, awake and paying attention when people are doing stuff. So it's very manual.
Honestly, this is one of the first times that y'all have tried something with CPTI that I hear it, and the first thing I thought was like, this actually would be easier in real life. Actually,
probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I mean, the live ruling, the like getting through it all and having it all make sense, I feel like would be a lot. It would be a lot easier because then you could just also cut. You could manage the deck easier, which would be like I think the whole game really is just deciding like making like this is a homebrew game like
right.
Also, okay, so one thing I was actually going to ask is like, did Wecker take everyone's tech deck and shuffle it in? Are there like 6 versions of Cruiser 2 in there?
Yep.
Jeez.
So you might have Cruiser 2 and draw Cruiser 2. I don't know what happens. Maybe you get Cruiser 3. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I hope we get to redraw in that case because that would be sad. That would be boring. I don't like that. I
mean, there's a whole spread. Like Wecker's, to their credit, has given a lot of thought to this and has like a spreadsheet Google Doc of like, if you're doing this and you draw this, this is what it means, kind of thing. But like, I just don't have all that memorized. It's too many wacky things.
Yeah, nobody does. Does. Well, okay, so this actually is coming out. This is kind of unfortunate because we're recording this before the semifinals start. But the first weekend of the semis has happened by the time people are hearing this. So do you have any predictions, like predictions for how the semis are going to go? Like to frame it a little bit, I'm nervous because I've put a time limit on the semis, a 9-hour time limit, and I'm hoping that's going to be okay. But in the past, the semis has been the problem round where things
it's
go.
Been really long. I mean, some of the finals have been really long too. I know my finals was really long. Like
you had really long one.
I
think you were in the 14. The longest one we've had was
I was
like
in
14.
the longest one. Yeah. It wasn't my fault. I'll tell you that much.
I'm not saying it was your fault.
No. I just want that to be clear because anyway, there was a whole thing.
Wait, were you in the 45-minute turn?
No, I wasn't in the 45-minute turn. That was a different one.
Okay.
That was a different one. But
that was
it was I don't know. Like it's up to the players, and like in my finals game that we're talking about, like the reason it got so long is there would be so many turns of silence where people are trying to either make a deal behind the scenes that they don't want the rest of the table to hear, or they're just not sure what they're supposed to do, and it's really important to them. They take a long time on their turn to get through it. And I mean, I don't know. For me, part of the reason why, I mean, I'm not quite as fast as you are, but I am pretty fast. And like, I just spend a lot of my time on other people's turns thinking about what I'm going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And that can change. Like, context can matter if something comes up. But a lot of times, like, not enough has changed. It's like, I'm just still going to do this thing that I was going to do. I'm going to play tech now or whatever. Right. So,
yeah. And it generally is that for you. That's a good predict. I wonder how many of your turns have been play tech, like percentage wise in your career. That would be a good guess.
I just chose a random thing. I don't know why I said that.
Why did you choose that? I don't know.
I don't know. It was totally random that I just picked that one. It could have been playing Imperial. You don't know. You don't know how I live.
I was playing this game recently that wasn't streamed or anything. And there was a player, I was trying to talk the player into choosing Imperial and taking Imperial.
Sure.
And because if they took Imperial, it'd be good for them. The player next to them had a lot to gain by getting Imperial. And this player wasn't really that kind of player, didn't really want to do that. And they made a big show out of like not choosing Imperial and instead choosing tech. And they did it kind of like in my face, like as a little like, take that. And
take
I was
that,
just thinking
Hunter. Take that, Hunter.
You, and I was just like, I'm very well prepared for this situation. I've been in this situation so many times where I've been watching you play, and I'm like, so JJ should do this or this, and it gets to your turn, and you're like, I'm taking tech.
Yeah, I got a little bit of that. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Listen. I know who I am, and I'm willing to accept that I do some silly things sometimes, even if they're not always the best.
For sure. I will say a time I was watching you play, and I was like, kind of like, oh, I think JJ is thinking about winning this game, was in the finals of the Minneapolis Intergalactical, where you were playing as the Titans of Ul. It's a transition, people.
Perfect.
We're doing our ultimate guide today for the Titans of Ul. And I remember, anyways, it was like going to be the last round of the game because of the timer.
Yeah.
And you did not take tech at a time that it would have been like maximum hilarious, because not only if you had taken tech would it have been like, well, JJ's not going to win, but it would have been effectively the game is over. SAR in that game would have won.
That's
for sure.
true. SAR was going to win.
But you did not. You decided, like, you know what? I want to win this game. I'm going to play for real. And
I took Diplo. Diplo.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. There was
it was the right pick.
It was. There was a coordinated table Winsley thing where a number of people were going to go after SAR, and I was support swapped with SAR, but the thing I could do is deny Diplo from them so that they couldn't refresh planets for the spendy. So So I did.
Yeah, and then I remember too, like with that game, we went into a tiebreaker, and Titans of Ul in a tiebreaker. I mean, oh, they're like perfect. They're perfect
so
for
good.
a tiebreaker.
They're very good. Yeah,
they're very good for that. They're an extremely versatile faction, and I really like them a lot. And today we're going to talk about them. What's interesting about talking about any of the Prophecy of Kings factions is that they're the ones that it's been the longest since we've talked about them on the show in like a guide sort of format. Because when POK came out, we did these big introduction episodes, and then we did the super guides, and a lot of the POK ones we touched on pretty early in that process. So for some of these guys, it's been like years since we have done any deep dives into them. And honestly, Titans is one of my favorite factions to think about. Maybe not like in my personal top 3 or whatever. But I just think they're a faction that Dane really had fun making. That's just like an impression I get every time I look at them. And I know that in playtesting for POK, they had extremely radical like design choices that kind of shifted a lot over time. And I remember that there was a lot of talk that they were sort of busted. And actually, a lot of, I think, what Dane wanted Titans to be that he sort of jettisoned actually became deep rot, basically, because it used to be that they lived, that their sleepers were a little more like everywhere and up in everyone's space, but in like a more sort of peaceful way. It's definitely like part of their, if you read their lore sheet, that's definitely there. Speaking of which, let's read their lore sheet. Tens of thousands of years ago, Mahawked gene sorcerers crafted one of their most brilliant creations, the Titans. Though they looked like massive machines, beneath their metallic shells, each Titan was a living creature of silicates and steel. They combined the best elements of the biological and the mechanical. That's an opinion, but okay. They could work for days without tiring and were exceedingly durable. They could also heal injuries and over time expand their numbers. Most importantly, which expanding numbers, they're talking about sex. All right, that's what that means. That's Dane's way of saying they expanded their numbers. Like, well, so when a mommy Titan and a daddy Titan love each other very much, something happens. Most importantly, they were intelligent beings, not mindless automatons. Though the Mahawked programmed them so that the Titans would never disobey their masters. In all, the gene sorcerers had created the perfect guardians and laborers for their kingdom. When the Mahawked were driven from the galaxy by the Lazax, they seeded sleepers in their wake to facilitate their eventual return. The greatest of these were to be the Titans. At the Mahawk's command, the Titans buried themselves in the wilds of their worlds and went into a deep dormancy. And they slept. As the Lazax Empire rose and fell, and the Twilight Wars raged and quieted, occasionally a Titan may be uncovered by explorers, but they appeared to be just one more relic of a forgotten past. Then the Mahawked returned, and the gene sorcerers sent out a call to awaken their servants. Many of the Titans heard the call and woke. However, the Mahawked had gravely underestimated their creations. During their millennia of dormancy, the Titans had continued to develop, and their minds had continued to expand. When they woke, they found they no longer felt any compulsion to obey their former masters. I would hope, to be honest, the way this is written, this is fun science fiction idea, but it also sounds actually a little bit unimpressive that it's basically saying, so the Titans had 1,000 years to think to themselves, and at the end of it, they were able to determine that they did not want to work for the bad guys. Congratulations. Wow, how smart are these guys, you know, that they were able to contemplate the ethics for an entire millennia and come up with the Mahawked are bad guys, basically.
I'm just thinking of it like they didn't eat or have any kind of additional fuel for thousands of years, and they were just chilling there the whole time, and but still actively developing while they were there. So like that's kind of that, I don't know, that seems odd to me.
Also, it sounds kind of, when you put it that way, it actually sounds a little bit like a horror, a science fiction horror element.
Yeah, you're stuck in a hole for 1,000 years.
It sounds scary. It sounds sad. Like,
a little bit.
Of course they don't like these guys. They're like, listen, we had to sleep for a millennia because of you guys, you know? Like, I wouldn't work for them either.
I mean, my kids get grumpy when I put them to bed early. I understand.
The Titans began to seek out others of their kind. The greatest population of Titans had gone dormant on one of the wonders they had constructed during the last days of the Mahawked rule, a massive Dyson sphere. The Titans had constructed the shell around a singularity, using its harnessed energy for power and its immense mass to create gravity on the outer surface. Now, they claimed their creation, calling it Elysium, and summoning all other Titans to join them. In the years that followed, the Titans had worked hard to establish their new civilization. Elysium offers more space than 10,000 normal planets. This has, you can see that on the cardboard too. It's big. It's like big. This has proven invaluable because though the Titans grow slowly, they never stop. The youngest Titans are easily 10 meters tall, while an elder can be the size of a habitant tower. Wow, a habitant tower. Yes, that's massive. I of course know the size of a habitant tower. Titans also show a great preference for order and organization. They freely submit to a hierarchical society where the oldest and most experienced Titan, called the Ul, rules. So Ul is a guy. I don't know if people realize that, but Ul is the guy on the sheet. That's the guy. While the Titans are, and when I say guy, I mean a Titan, but he's like one person is what I mean. While the Titans are biomechanical creatures, they tend to show a great love of living things. Many Titans devote themselves to cultivating Elysium into a lush garden world, seeding myriad biomes across its formerly barren surface. Titan towns blend seamlessly with the surrounding landscape, even though Titan structures are massive by necessity. That said, since the Titans tend to spread out Elysium's surface, the only true city is their capital, Transcendence. Here, one can find Ul literally watching over their people. The eldest Titan is so massive that they eclipse even the largest buildings. Instead, the Ul stands in the center of Transcendence, unmoving, while they speak with their fellows about the issues confronting their people. Though the Titans have been preoccupied with cultivating their new world and developing their society, they have not forgotten about the wider galaxy. Already trading vessels descend on Elysium with holds full of rare minerals and exotic plant and animal life. In exchange, the Titans construct wondrous devices from the ancient days and travel to other worlds to build huge orbital stations and massive geoforming and terraforming projects. They continue to scour the galaxy, looking for any of their kin who may still slumber beneath the surfaces of countless worlds. As the ancient prophecies come to pass and war looms, the Ul look into the skies of Elysium and see a galaxy in chaos. They know that the only chance that teeming multitudes scattered across countless worlds have for survival is a steady hand guiding them to peace. They know that while some may not realize it, there is a place for everyone in the universe, and everyone must find their place with the Titans to watch over them all. So, by Twilight Imperium standards, the Titans are, I think, about as close as you get to a good guy. I mean, like, essentially, that's the nicest paragraph, that last one, that's really on any of these lore sheets, especially compared to like the humans, for example, pretty evil, pretty bad in Twilight Imperium. I would say pretty much everybody.
Certainly nicer than average, yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. On the I would say good guy spectrum of Twilight Imperium.
Just being someone that will be calm and watch the galaxy is nicer than the average faction out there.
Yes,
and it's wild that they're describing the leader as being like taller than their buildings. It's like, think about that. Like if you're looking at the planet, it's so big that you might just see some dude or some robot, whatever, on the planet from outer space. And that's the thing that you see. Rather than any structures or buildings, you see the leader of the Titans just hanging out on their planet, right?
There. Yeah, I would say, I mean, and I'm jealous of that system, by the way. If I could vote on, if it was a vote between a politician, like fill in any politician, I'm not gonna name any, but let's just imagine a politician.
Right.
If it's a vote between that politician and a giant guy who's taller than a building, I'm voting on Giant Man for sure. He watches over us.
You literally look up to him.
Yeah, the campaign slogans write themselves. He watches over us.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that I think is interesting about the Titans lore is that they are sort of the proto Crimson Rebellion, because they are a faction that was loyal to the Mech that have now rebelled. So it's funny that we sort of touched back on that thematic idea once again.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. I mean, the Mech are just the worst. So, it makes sense that there would be multiple different groups that are against them. So,
yeah, I guess what I think what I'm kind of taking away from that is I'd never made this connection between those two factions before. And now I sort of feel like they should be like buddies. You know, like if I was doing
Yeah.
like another RPG, which I would love to do another series of RPG episodes. I feel like connecting the Titans and the Crimson like rebellion like struggles would be something that would be happening in the Twilight Imperium lore if you know, if I was in charge.
I can tell you, Titans and Crimson did an alliance swap in one of my games, and boy, oh boy, it was real nice.
Yeah, that must be. Yeah, that's a sick combo for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Well, before we get into the component stuff, I would like to do a quick ad break, and then we'll be right back with all of the juicy, mechanical, regular, not lore stuff going forward. And we're back. It is regular Space Cats Peace Turtles time. It's time to talk about all of the Titans, starting units, tech, home system, all that stuff, all the component overview stuff that I know that you crave, and we're going to give you the juicy details. Let's start about their tech first, because they have an interesting starting tech, which is that this is the first time that Dane actually broke his sort of patterns. He had like really solid patterns with starting tech, but then for some reason he messed it up here, and he gave them 2 starting tech. One of them he shouldn't have given them by his own standard, but he just did. They start with anti-mass deflectors for no particular reason, and then Scanlink drone network, which you would argue that they sort of need more so than anybody. They make more use of it than anyone. It's a part of their kit. It's going to play off of other components that they have. If you're not familiar, anti-mass deflectors is just the one that allows them to move ships into and through asteroid fields. It also gives a -1 to space cannon rolls. And then Scanlink drone network, I will read word for word, which is when you activate a system, you may explore one planet in that system that contains one or more of your units. And this is a big new players. I'm waving a big flag at you right here and saying that the unit has to already be in the system. That's one of the trickiest aspects of utilizing this tech. A lot of people don't research it most of the time anyway, so this doesn't come up that often. We probably mention this maybe once every couple years at this point. Right. But for Titans, it's extremely relevant. You have to have the unit on the planet. And a unit could be a space dock. It could be a PDS, aka a Hel-Titan, not to get too ahead of ourselves. But it needs to be on that planet before you explore it. And you're only getting to explore one. So if you're in the Wriggles or whatever, you can't activate and be like, I get to scan link all 3. No. It don't work like that. You just get your 1. Our starting units are pretty decent. We've got 1 dreadnought, 2 cruisers, which are special cruisers, 2 fighters, 3 infantry, and 1 space dock. I say my least favorite part of that is the 3 infantry. That part is a little bit weird. I mean, I guess technically we only have 3 capacity. Because the cruisers have 1 capacity each, so that we are kind of, it's at least a perfect match.
It's a punchy start is the thing. Yes. I'll say. Like it's definitely the type where if you are an aggressive player and you want to start sending cruisers out to do stuff, like this is maybe the faction where you go and do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's I would say, if for some reason you get gifted your faction unit upgrade that we will talk about, they are potentially a like round 1 elimination type faction. I just haven't seen the stars align for it, but the potential is there. You know what I mean? You think about sustaining the cruiser, you think about Tellurian. If somebody were to really mess up their start, like technically the Titans could eat them. If they I feel like they would need more infantry in order to make.
Yeah, things would have to work out, but they could. Yeah.
Yes, their home system, as we've already mentioned, is called Elysium. It is a 4 resource, 1 influence home system, and I'll read you the flavor text. Larger than 1,000 terrestrial planets, Elysium is an artificial shell world built around the powerful singularity in its hollow heart. Its surface is covered in calm seas and cultivated plains. It sounds like a nice place. 4 resources is pretty standard. There's no influence in there. We're not spending that for influence, at least yet. You know, right. We do get a bit of an upgrade to this home system, which is pretty cool. They're 2 commodity faction, and let's talk about their abilities. So the first one is Terragenesis. After you explore a planet that does not have a sleeper token, you may place or move one sleeper token onto that planet. You have 6 sleeper tokens? 5? 6? Oh, it's 5. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. It's right there. Yeah. So yeah, we have a special component that is a little cardboard, little circular token that's called a sleeper. By the way, I could never figure out which way you're supposed to place them, because on one side they're like dull, like they have there's like no symbol in the center, and then on the other side it looks like a little Titan symbol. But what I don't understand is that it seems like you would place them face down where they're like asleep, right?
Yeah.
But then when would you flip them? Because you just turn them into stuff.
It just turns into stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever looks cool to you. I've always seen it on like the shinier side up with the Titan symbol, just because that's how Async does it. But like, yeah, it's whatever.
I think personally, this is a theory, and I wonder if Dane is listening. Maybe he could confirm this. But I actually think that the reason they're designed that way with 2 sides actually has to do with where they were at a certain point in the design process, and not
different design originally, probably.
Yeah. And then it just got left over because it's like, well, that's how the component looks. Like, we're not worried about going back and changing that. But it used to be, I think they had like a state that was literally called like dormancy, that then you would have to like, that would mean that they function in a slightly different way, and it was like maybe more complicated than it needed to be. Anyways, the point of Terragenesis is after you explore, you place or move a token. Pretty simple. Next up, we've got Awaken. We're actually going to decide what we do with these tokens. After you activate a system that contains one or more of your sleeper tokens, you may replace each of those tokens with one PDS from your reinforcements. I think at this point we got to talk about what I'm calling the Titans timing window shuffle, which is that we've got a lot of abilities that all stack on top of each other with confusing timing windows.
Real quick on that, if you're on the Discord, there's literally a command to do this. If you don't remember and you want to just have a little reminder of it, you can do /Titans timing and it'll help you with this.
Yeah, because it's easy to forget, especially because even now, when I was putting the script together for this episode, I was looking at it and was like, wait, the way it's written, like I like messed up and had to like double check that my thought process was correct. I really don't love the way these abilities are all written together, because they do sound very different than how it actually is. So when you activate, that's scan link. So that's going to be first. We place the token down. That means we automatically hit that when you activate window. So we can do scan link, which is when we would explore, which is great, because after you explore, then we have Terragenesis, which would allow us to place or move a sleeper token. And then that last window, and I think this is the most confusing part, is the after you activate, you can awaken, you turn the sleeper token into a PDS unit. With the key caveat that is confusing, the sleeper token had to be there before you activated in order to use Awaken. That's the part that, honestly, the way it's written, I wouldn't assume that. Like, it almost sounds like when you explore the planet, after you place a token, and then I'm still in the afters, so then I turn it into a PDS unit, and it's just a little bit faster, you know?
Yeah, the problem is because it's a different after window, but it is confusing. It is confusing. So yeah, it's like you do it, you get the initial explore and sleeper token on one activation, and then you awaken it on a separate activation later.
So that is how it works. It is a little bit, it's a little bit tough. It's one of those things that happens a lot in Twilight Imperium, where there will be like a series of interacting components that, you know, you read them and you're like, okay, I think this is all pretty straightforward. And then it really isn't. And you pretty much do have to understand the nitty gritty of every aspect of it to even utilize the faction in like an even sort of useful way. So this is one of those times. I think if you're willing to commit that, you know, little shuffle, that timing window shuffle to memory, or just look it up anytime you forget, I do think that Titans is like an incredible faction to play. But let's continue with their abilities. Up next, we have Coalescence. If your Flagship or your Awaken faction ability places units into the same space area or onto the same planet as another player's units, your units must participate in combat during the space combat or ground combat steps. So Coalescence as an idea is just that we can have sleeper tokens on planets and we can just leave them there. You know, we don't have to awaken them. And then later, who knows what's going to happen to that planet or that space area? Some other player is going to move in. When they do, you can coalesce to just like still redeem your token for something. And then immediately you go straight to combat. That's basically exactly how it works. In the POK era, we almost never used Coalescence. It wasn't like a super popular way to play until Alice, who was one of the finalists for one of a tournament. I forget which one it was. Maybe the 2023 tournament?
I think 23, yeah.
Yeah. So in 2023, Alice played a game, and it was either her semis or her prelims. And you reminded me of this, but this is also like, to me, this was like a landmark Titans game where she put her sleeper tokens on planets, and then she did not awaken them. And we all watched this game, and we had this massive realization, which is that basically an unredeemed sleeper token is almost just as good as a redeemed sleeper token, because if you see the token there, it's not like a secret. So then you know, like, oh, if I move in there, then Titans can just activate and redeem their tokens. And what's cool about that is because of Coalescence, you're kind of saving a lot of tokens, not redeeming your sleepers like that. It also makes me realize why they only have 5 sleeper tokens, because if you could just play like this, just all dormancy, that would be such an effective play style. If you could have like 10 sleeper tokens on various planets, that would be like a wild amount.
That would be wild, yeah.
Projection. Yeah. Too much. Way too much, I would say.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit, because all these abilities together are part of the reason why we don't normally like push this as a brand new player faction, because it can be confusing.
Definitely not.
And like from the TI rules stuff, there's a few things around this that I think are worth sharing now too. So if a sleeper token is placed during the activation step, it cannot be replaced via Awaken in the same action. We talked about that. If the old player wishes to place a PDS, but there are none left in the reinforcements, they may remove a PDS from any system that does not contain one of their command tokens to place it instead. If the Titans player places a PDS on a planet controlled by another player, and if they don't have any ground forces on that planet, the Titans player will destroy all other players' structures and gain control of that planet immediately. But otherwise, there would be combat, which we talked about.
Yes.
And then units placed on planets via the Awaken ability are not committed. They cannot be assigned hits during the space cannon defense step.
So you sneak around that step, basically.
You sneak around that as well. So
yeah. Which is cool. That's like a slight benefit that like utilizing Coalescence is like a little bit, it's not like tricky per se, but it's like, it's something you really shouldn't forget. I think it's what separates like a newer Titans of Old player from like a more experienced one, is relying on Coalescence. I remember when POK first came out, I actually thought Coalescence just didn't even need to exist, and that it was just kind of silly, and that most people just wouldn't play that way. And I was wrong. That's not, I didn't check, but I'd be willing to put money down that if you go back to the Titans introduction, which is probably like episode 100 something, like a long time ago at this point, I probably said almost exactly what I just said, as far as like, oh yeah, Coalescence is not very good. It's not, I don't really get that. I'm not sure why you would use that. And now I'm like, man, that's just the best way to do it. But thus far, as far as faction abilities go, this has just been it's really complicated so far. And it's sort of like, what is the point of all of this? But I can give you the point right here, which is that they have 2 faction units. The first up is probably the most important one, maybe the best faction unit in the entire game, which is the Saturn engines. This is a cruiser unit, and it is a cost 2, normal, combat 7, movement 2, capacity 1 cruiser. Gets a lot of work done. It is a workhorse, this guy, okay? And you have more cruisers than you have dreadnoughts, which is important to note. maybe it doesn't seem that obvious why it's important thus far, but like it is. Once we upgrade this sucker, we'll be able to basically say like, all right, well, that's your fleet. Your fleet is just these Saturn engine 2. Like, what else do you need, really, at the end of the day? Pretty much does everything. And then our other faction unit is the Hel-Titan 1. This is a PDS unit. This unit is treated as both a structure and a ground force. It cannot be transported. And then it has 4 unit abilities. It's got Planetary Shield, Space Cannon 6. It has Sustained Damage, which is awesome. That's kind of my favorite thing that it has. And then it has Production 1. You produce out of your PDS units. It's pretty sick. And because it participates in ground combat, it does have a combat value, which is a 7. Now, people forget about this because it's complicated, but like technically on the ground, because of sustained damage on your Hel-Titans, we've just got more HP available to us on the ground than pretty much anybody. The issue being that we don't have as good a production as, let's say, like Arborec or something like that. So we're not gonna have more on average, but the potential is really there, and you can really project your power with these Hel-Titans in such a way as to make it very difficult to take any planets from you as Titans. I love a stage 2 control objective at playing as the Titans Evolve. That's like an extremely fun puzzle, I feel like, you know?
Yeah, no, they're very good at it. Do we want to talk about the upgraded versions of these two?
Yeah, we could go ahead and do that because they are pretty straightforward. So the upgrade of the Saturn Engine 2 is this is pretty critical. This is like the most important thing. If you take anything away from this episode, it should be that you should upgrade your cruiser. Saturn Engine 2 gets Sustained Damage, and then it upgrades the combat to a 6, the movement to a 3, and the capacity to a 2. Okay?
So good.
That's crazy. That
so
is
good.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And they still only cost 2. It's the cheapest, most effective unit that you could ever imagine. I mean, it's potentially, it is a 4 hit point unit by itself. Well, I mean, with the fighters.
With the fighters. Yeah.
For $3, we're getting 4 hit points. We got the sustained damage, we got the 2 fighters, and then we got the final hit.
And it hits on a 6. Like, this is a better Dreadnought in almost every way. The only real difference is you don't get to bombard, but like outside of that one secret and a few niche situations, I would say you'd almost always rather have the cheaper ships that move faster, that still have the better capacity than a Dread even. Like these ships are, you said it, I agree, one of the best units in the whole game, and you should always research them.
Yeah, and they have even more to do these days. Like, one of the things that was like a joy to find out about Titans was whether they're like a good faction for the Fracture. And spoilers, they're pretty good. The Hel-Titan upgrade is a slightly different story, which is to say that it's kind of... Sometimes there's this thing that happens in Twilight Imperium where Dane will give a faction-specific unit, which means that it has to have a unit upgrade, but the unit upgrade doesn't actually bring any interesting functionality to it. But I'll read you the Hel-Titan 2 anyways. This unit is treated as both a structure and a ground force. It cannot be transported. You may use this unit's space cannon against ships that are adjacent to this unit's system, which has a standard PDS2 upgrade. Yep. And then it still has all the same unit abilities, Planetary Shield, Space Cannon 5, so it does upgrade the Space Cannon, Sustain, Production 1. I always want the Production to be upgraded. Why not give me Production 2? That'd be more fun. And then it at least gives you Combat 6 as opposed to Combat 7 on Hel-Titan 1. But that's pretty much it. I would say that overall, having the PDS2 part of Hel-Titan 2 is not really worth it. But I am surprised by how often in my research games I would end up picking it up just because I had the opportunity to use it. Does that make sense? Like, you're putting your PDS everywhere, so you'll see it, and you'll be like, oh man, I guess I could turn on PDS2. That would be something.
There are reasons. I would say PDS in general is a little bit weaker these days, but yeah, if you go with what we're going to talk about in this guide, you're probably going to have a decent number of Hel-Titans out there. So it's reasonable to upgrade. I want to talk about some of the movement stuff because there's some important stuff. It is a unit.
Yes.
But you cannot transport it normally.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important distinction. There are a few weird things around this. If there's an effect that says remove and place, off the top of my head, I know it's like transit diodes and decoy operations.
Mm-hmm.
So those are ones where you can move Hel-Titans around. But if it's something that says move ground forces, like notably Gamma Mama, and I think Ghost Squad is another one, those don't work for moving Hel-Titans. So you can't like have Gamma Mama and try to commit your Hel-Titans from one system to another system kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that's frustrating to me, the way that it's sort of, I don't know, that some things work and other things don't. And we will talk about or at least I want to talk about transit whenever we get to tech. I think it's like very interesting.
It's
for
interesting.
Titans. Yeah.
And something else that's notable from the new factions, like, the Ralnel Promissory is kind of cool, because now you can use that to move your PDS around. I think that's kind of interesting for Titans as well.
Yeah, well, actually, so let's talk about the flagship and the mech, because technically I think for a lot of these we could trigger those a little bit I guess not the flagship, but the mech we could trigger with some of these other abilities as well.
Oh, yes.
So the flagship, we'll get that out of the way. It's pretty simple. Is called Oranos, and it has a deploy ability. Deploy, after you activate a system that contains one or more of your PDS, you may replace one of those PDS with this unit. It has normal sustained damage, no other unit abilities, and it's cost 8, combat's 2 on a 7, movement 1, capacity 3. So pretty standard flagship. That's not really so much to write home about, with just the fact that it has this deploy. And the deploy is really the only thing that is interesting about it. It's just like, this is how I always think about this flagship is, if I get some sort of flagship objective my way, all right, cool. It doesn't cost me any money. You know what I mean?
Right.
I get it for free.
Right.
And that's cool, like, to have that versatility. Like, that is like, in fact, my last research game, there was a flagship situation that came up at the very end of the game. It was my only path to win. I didn't end up winning, but the fact that I was going to be able to get my flagship for free was such a boon, even in a losing game, basically. Also, I would like to emphasize that, and this is like a little more obvious by the wording, but just make sure that the PDS is already there. Don't try to turn the sleeper into a PDS and then turn that PDS into a flagship. The PDS is just already got to be there by the time the token goes down. So that's more Titans shuffling type stuff. But what actually plays off of some of the other abilities we were talking about is the mech, which is called the Hecaton cherries. The Hecaton cherries. That's correct. That's if you're wondering about the pronunciation there, I actually nailed that 100%. The Hecaton cherries. The Hecaton cherries.
Hecaton cherries. Delicious. I love my Hecaton
cherries. Oh, you gotta come on down to Hecaton sometime. Have our cherries. We got beautiful cherry trees everywhere. These Hecaton cherries. So it has a deploy ability. When you would place a PDS on a planet, you may place 1 mech and 1 infantry on that planet instead. Besides that, it's a standard mech, sustained damage, cost 2, combat 6. So earlier when we were talking about like transit, for example, you can, and this is some real Twilight Imperium magic here, like a new player would never think to do this. And to be honest, it's one of those things where it's in the game, mostly because this card references this thing and this card references this thing. And then we go to Dane and we're like, hey, Dane, look, we found this thing. And he's like, I always intended that. Oh, I always put that there for you, my children, and we'll never know whether he knew or didn't know. It's like we found the breadcrumbs. So the idea is you use transit diodes that allows you to remove your PDS from the board, from the game board, and then when you place it onto a planet, the deploy ability could proc. So we could take our PDS, turn it into a mech and infantry on a planet, any planet, even a planet like, oh, I don't know, Styx. That might be one. That could be one.
Could be a good one to put them on to. Yeah.
Maybe that's a good one. Yeah.
There's some other interesting rules, nerdy stuff on this one too.
Mm-hmm.
When the old player would place multiple PDS during a single step, they resolve deploy to place the Hecaton cherries for all of the PDS if they wanted to.
Yeah.
It must be resolved only for units and a player's reinforcements. If all 4 of the Hecaton cherries are already on the board, none may be deployed instead. And finally, the old player cannot place a PDS on a planet that already has 2 of their PDS on it. As such, they are not unable to place a Hecaton cherries on a planet with 2 of their PDS using its deployability.
Yeah. So you can't like go up to a third PDS that you're turning into a mech, essentially, is the idea.
Right. I mean, unless like there's that one law, but that's in general. Yes.
To be honest, this is a great opportunity to say, this is a little pointer from me. I think if you're putting 2, unless you're using transit, I'll grant you for it, like maybe there's some weird plays. I don't think you should be putting more than 1 Hel-Titan on a planet anyways. That's just not something that is really that worth it to do.
I agree.
Maybe like more than 1 in a system. That's cool. Having a system with multiple Hel-Titans is great for production, but generally the idea is we want to project our power onto as many planets as possible. And if you have all of your PDS in just one area, then you're not really projecting that much power, are you? And yes, it's good. This is a good reminder that deploy abilities, this is something we got from the Dane FAQ years ago. Deploy abilities don't work if you don't have that unit in your reinforcements. So there's no reason to build all of your mechs as Titans anyways. You already have sustained damage on your planets. You get it from your PDS units. So always, I would say, think about leaving 1 behind, because you want to have an opportunity to do that deploy, and having that in your back pocket is a good idea for sure. Let's talk about their prom note. This is probably actually low key. This is like maybe my favorite prom note to sell, because I'm going to call it, I have seller's anxiety. I have a difficulty selling things as compared to other people. Like, for example, you is like you're like a person that, so you have the opposite. You have like the people.
Let's make a deal.
Yeah, yes. I have seller's anxiety. I feel like I can't sell anything. I can't sell it for the value that other people get out of it, but I can sell this. And I like that, because this is just such a good, simple card. You can make a quick deal with it. It's called Terraform, and it reads, action, attach this card to a non-home planet you control other than Mechatol Rex. Its resource and influence values are each increased by 1, and it is treated as having all 3 planet traits: cultural, hazardous, and industrial. There are 2, I think, kind of schools of thought on this guy. One is you sell it in round 1, and then 2 is you wait for it to become more valuable due to objectives that flip, which I guess there's really just the 1. But
there's 2.
There's
like,
2, yeah.
There's arguably 2. Yes. And some secret objectives also, like, because of the planet trait thing, it can matter. The attachment's certainly the one that you were thinking of as well.
Yes.
Because it is an attachment that you can just add to whatever planet. So it's definitely good for a few objectives, but they're kind of tricky objectives. So it's a good one.
Yeah. They are. I personally, I just want to go ahead and get out ahead of it and say I am a sell it early kind of guy. One of the only drawbacks of Titans is we start a little bit poor, and we kind of have a lot of homework. We have like a lot of things we need to do, you know? Yeah. So I think this thing is, I sell it. I sell it for a good alliance or just straight up cash. And
how much cash do you usually ask for?
Well, so people have been throwing the sell everything for $1 thing in my face for years now, which really just kind of proves that, like, I don't think they ever really got my point in the first place. So I'm changing the way I frame these things, which is Terraform goes for what is a sensible kind of, you have to remember, I'm from Arkansas. I'm from Bentonville, Arkansas. I went to high school, Bentonville High School. I was raised by Walmart. Okay, Sam Walton himself
brought you in,
brought me under his wing.
did a rollback.
He taught me. Yes, he did a rollback. He taught me always low prices. Always. Okay, that's what he taught me. And so I think that it's based on, give me a faction that I'm selling it to. You know what I mean? Because to Hakan, I think I probably sell it for 3, and I say 3, and then I sort of see how they react to that.
Yeah.
And then I might go down to 2,
Yeah.
A lot of people, I will sell it for $1. If it's like a poor table and nobody's going to have money, I want to have real cash in hand. I'm a real cash in hand type guy.
You're not looking for fragments or something that's equivalent value. You want the money specifically because you've got specific needs in round 1. Yeah.
And we've talked about this concept before, but I think it's very relevant to Titans. Early money it is so much more important than late money. It has such a deep impact on the game. $1 in round 1 could change the entire arc of your game versus $1 in round 4 that just is meaningless.
And I'll expand. I think what you're getting after is it's not just the dollar. It's because I get this dollar, I now get to do the tech I wanted to do, and I get the warfare build that I wanted to get, and I get to score. And so when you're talking about your round 1, those are kind of the 3 main things that you're hoping to accomplish. At least most factions are hoping to accomplish. Titans is certainly in that group. And so if you can do all those things and that $1 extra makes the difference, you should just go ahead and make the sale. But all of that said, I agree with where you started with this. I think $3 is a good baseline for me. I'll try to sell it for $3 off the start. If there's an attachment objective out there specifically, or the 4 of a kind comes up, I might bump it up to $4 because it's really hard for some factions. Another one I really like to do is I really like to do swapping for research agreement.
Yeah,
because I think that's one Jolnar is oftentimes interested in it for a number of reasons. The stall, but also the planet value is good for them, and they can afford to give you, hyper or whatever kind of tech that you want. Hyper round 1 is Titans is awesome. So
it's really good. That's that's kind of the number one. That's kind of the only situation where I'm like, oh, it's probably worth going in.
It's one of the few. Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I really want to shout out NRA for a second because they have so much exploration. They're one of the other Planet Explorer factions, and if you give Terraform to them, you can get some really wacky stuff going. There's one of the things you can do is for them, it's prefab arcologies. That's the tech where when they explore, they get to, ready the planet as well. And so they might want to explore all the way through the deck and get through all the awesome attachments and build up this super planet. And if you give them Terraform, they can make this one where they can pick and choose what are the best ones left, and they can explore out of any deck. So NRA really likes that part of it, and you can get extra gross with it if there's a DMZ in play in NRA. So you put the attachment on there, and then during the agenda phase, you all trade the planet, and then NRA gets to explore it every time they gain control.
Horrible.
And Titans can be the recipient of this as well and be on the Commander Alliance swap into this. So you can do some really dirty things where you explore all the way through all the decks. You can literally get all of the fragments out of the decks if you do something like this. So
that's so bad. That's an oversight. That's an exploit right there, Dade.
It is. Well, but that's what we're here to talk about, right? If you have that opportunity, you should at least be open to it. Now, it does require trust, because if I hand off the DMZ to Hunter and Hunter is not trustworthy, they might just keep it and I can't do anything about it again.
But I am trustworthy for this one. I do want to let you know. I do think the math is pretty simple here. If we trust each other, we get to mill the entire exploration deck. like
it's
completely
pretty awesome.
for
It's
every
pretty
single
awesome.
thing that's in there. That's
Yes.
messed up.
Yes.
Messed up.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. I'll say this. See, this isn't about Terraform, but you were talking about the Nazroka Alliance, and I'll bring this up again whenever we get to trading in meta. But getting that Nazroka commander, getting their alliance can open up some really strange sleeper plays. I had a game where I had Faunus, and Faunus was letting me, at the end of every round, I would just pick up somebody's like neutral planet, like all these weird little planets, pick it up, explore it, put a sleeper there, and then it would just be like across the table. So I had a PDS network, and what I did, this game, I don't know what to say about it. It had a PDS network that included every single planet that had an Ingress token on it. So my network was just spread out. It was all over the map, but it was essentially, if you wanted to go near the fracture or do anything in the fracture, I just had so many shots. Now, overall, was the experiment just made it clear to me that like actually shooting into the fracture is like, there's not really a point to it, because you can only shoot into the egress, or the exgress, whatever.
Egress, yeah.
So you can't, so like most people are just going to like skip over that system tile, especially if they know that you can shoot there. But it is a fun surprise, like for someone to go there and me be like, all right, well that'll be 6 space cannon shots. And they're like, what? And it's like, yeah, look, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And I'm just pointing all over the map. Like, it was great.
That's wild. That's pretty wild.
Really fun. Really fun. I'm not sure that that's a winning strategy, but it is something that you can do. I do think overall, like having that Nazroka Alliance is worth it. But okay, so that's Terraform. It's good. I think it's neatly tradable. Let's talk about the breakthrough. This is the big thing. This is the new thing. It's very interesting. It's called Slumber State Computing. It is a yellow-green synergy, which is not bad for us. We're going to get some mileage out of that yellow-green. And it reads, when Coalescence results in a ground combat, if you commit no other units, you may choose for your units to coexist instead. During the status phase, for each player you are coexisting with, you and that player each draw 1 additional action card. Other players, and this is the key sentence, other players may allow you to place a sleeper token on a planet they control. So you can just, if the other player agrees, you can just put a sleeper token anywhere and then later activate it, redeem that sleeper token for a Hel-Titan, or I guess technically also for actually no, Coalescence is Hel-Titan only, right? Like if you, or would it allow you to do the mech and the infantry? I've never done it.
You can do the mech and infantry.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, then you're coexisting. You get your little action card thing. I will say this is a hunter-proof component. I'm sorry to report, I will never be able to tell you how good this is, because actually, I did get to do this. I got to do this once, and it wasn't because it was in that Faunus game, because I had done the Faunus play where I had gotten like next to someone's home system, and then they went to that planet, and when they did, I was like, hey, what if I just... So, like, it wasn't that they agreed to let me place a sleeper token there. I just worked out a strategy where I got to place sleeper tokens so effectively that it was more useful for someone to just agree to the coexistence than to fight me, basically. So that's how far I went in order to test getting an extra action card. And I don't know, it was an extra action card. That's fine, I guess. But this is one that's like the deal makers of the world will get a lot of mileage out of this. And you know, I just can't. I literally couldn't get a single person to agree. No one played 3 games. No one did it. I am reporting to you. And people have been complaining lately. Like there was a game I posted on YouTube where somebody had a comment that they were like, "Hey, I actually think it's really lame that you pick faction first," even though I started doing that because people were complaining when I wasn't picking my research faction first. So like, y'all are putting me in such a box that like there's only so many ways I can play this game, and if you won't accept the deal, I can't test the deal makey thing.
That's true.
But I'm curious, how much mileage did you get out of this sucker?
Oh, I have a lot to say on this topic. Come on, Hunter. You knew that answer before we started in here. All right.
I did.
So first of all, from my perspective, I guess we didn't say this yet. So I did like 3 playtest games, and I did not intend to get the breakthrough in all of them because my opinion coming in was that it was pretty good, but it wasn't like a must-have. So I would only get it if it made sense for the game, like if somebody had some deal or whatever brewing and it made sense, kind of thing.
Yes.
I did actually end up getting it in every single one of my research games because in a couple of the games where I didn't want to, other people came to me with deals saying we should coexist for a reason. And I'll get into the deal stuff
on the call. You know what I mean? I should just, why don't I just click stop and walk away?
I'm sorry.
So frustrating to hear.
So
frustrating.
So here's what I'll say as a general statement. The breakthrough is good at scoring, control objectives, whether they're publics or secrets, 4 of a kind, push boundaries.
So good.
I found to be super easy to do. Really interesting because like for coexisting, remember you don't control the planet, but you do become neighbors with someone.
Yeah.
So it can enable you to make deals with them after you're there, which sometimes matters. But more importantly, you don't control the planet. So for something like push boundaries, I'm on your planet and it works the good way for coexistence.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I get to count it as controlling for scoring push boundaries when I'm counting up the number of planets I have. But then when you're comparing to me, I don't have those planets. So I'm easier for you to push on me.
You can push on someone who can push on you back, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I actually did that in one of my games. That was the reason why I ended up getting to do that, was because it was like, if I do the breakthrough and I coexist in their 2-planet system, I would give them defensive PDS, and then we would both score push boundaries round 1. So that was, for something like that, it's pretty good. There's also other rules things I want to go over real quick. You don't have to be neighbors with the player to agree to have it. And agreeing to a sleeper token placed is not a transaction by itself, but you could have one that happens immediately afterwards. So let me talk about some of the deals that I did make and why I got so deep into this. And so, mind you, this is so early on that I'm sure some of these deals you're going to hear and you're going to say, that was a really bad deal for the other player. And some of them you're going to hear, you'll be like, that's probably not a good deal for you, JJ, as the Titans player. But like, we're still figuring this out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I recorded 9 different deals that I did and like kind of a little background for it. So the first one, I placed a PDS in another player's slice for the push boundaries thing, which we talked about. And we both scored push boundaries. The second one I did, I put a PDS in Malice when the SAR player controlled it. The deal was I wanted it in order to score a secret. SAR agreed to it because I gave them a free trade refresh because I was the trade holder that round, which enabled them to score one of the spendy objectives that they were going to be short on otherwise. So it was like a point for a point thing. The third one, I had a Jolnar player. So the Jolnar player researched ERES round 1. I put my PDS into the equidistant with them. They got 3 trade goods, and then I got the 1 trade good, and we both coexisted together to draw extra action cards, and I would defend their planet. And I did use that money to go buy research agreement as well, but that's a whole other thing. The fourth one, Titans coexisted with Arborek for an alliance swap, and then obviously I would defend their PDS. The next one, this is one of the wackier ones. So, okay, this was the same game. Titans activated the Jolnar home system. I got research agreement, and I placed 2 mech and 2 infantry in their home system. Okay. But Jolnar got to keep all 4 of the E-res money. They got 2 trade goods on top, and they got 4 infantry from Magen Defense Grid.
So what did you get? Like, I don't even understand that one.
I got research agreement, 2 mechs, 2 infantry.
Yes. Well, no,
so
you got 2 mechs, 2 infantry in a place you can't use them, though. Not really.
Well, unless you have transit diodes to move them around.
I see.
Yeah, because this is a Jolnar game where I was able to get transit diodes. So, it was pretty cool. And then again, Jolnar got a lot out of it. They got $6 and 4 dudes. Like, that's pretty good. Hard to argue with that too much. The next one, Titans coexisted with Crimson and did an alliance swap as part of that.
That's sick.
I will say Crimson in particular was one where it's a little iffy because they want to put all of their breaches down, those turn off your PDS abilities. So that one's maybe a little iffier for both sides, but it was a thing that we did and we tried it.
Yeah. It makes
sense.
sense.
This next one's really cool. So Sardak player came to me. They had the action card exchange program. So they put my infantry on their planet and they came onto one of mine so that they could draw extra action cards. Because I am coexisting with them on another planet.
Just any coexistence.
Yeah.
So technically, this is an obvious one that we should maybe have already said. But if Deep Rot uses their agent on you, you're just going to start immediately doing that, right? Or no, it's you coexisting with them.
You coexist with them, exactly. So I'm glad you brought it up because it's a great question, but it doesn't work
like that.
If they're coexisting with you, you have to be coexisting with them.
Yes, so. I always start thinking about coexisting wrong, where I will think of it as a both ways type thing.
Yeah.
There is one coexisting player, and then there's just the player that owns the planet. That's what's happening.
Yeah. So in this case, since my infantry went on a planet owned by Sardak, we got to trigger the draw.
Incredible.
Then we've got Titans. I coexisted with Crimson. This is in round 4. There's a Winslay that's afoot. They're trying to kill me and Crimson. 3 on the edge was an objective, and I'm like, okay, I'll activate and put a PDS down on your planet to defend us both, and we'll both have better edge defense here. And they gave me support back when I did it. Because they wanted the defense for their edge as well, right?
Yeah.
And then the last one, I had a Last Bastion player who just asked me to activate and coexist to put a PDS down with them because their round 1 started pretty badly. They offered their alliance to me just one way.
Mm-hmm.
And also their promissory note so that I would help them unlock the alliance.
That's it.
That was the deal.
Oh, okay. Well,
so they got extra action card. Well, because they can't be sabotaged later once it's unlocked.
You're right. That's fair.
So they were gambling. They were gambling that I would help them draw, bonkers action cards.
Right.
And it's kind of worked okay for them. So
yeah, that does sort of make sense. I will say that in hearing all of your deals, I did remember. So I got one to contribute. How about this? Actually, I did have a deal. I had forgotten about it in the Fantasy Flight stream that I did where I played as Titans, which was my first Titans Thunder's Edge game, and I did win. I did actually get to do a Coalescence deal with Liv Shepard, the community manager at Fantasy Flight. She was playing as Mentak, and I don't remember what it was for, but I was just trying to try out the component. And then this is how it went for me. I put the sleepers down, and then on the next round, Liv was like, all right, I'm going to leave and go to Mechatol Rex. And I was like, wait, but Liv, if you leave, then I won't be able to coexist with you. If I try to use that, I'll just take the planet. And she was like, yeah, I don't care. And then I took the planet and then she blew up the PDS later. And so that's kind of how it goes for me. Like you described like 9 deals there that were in depth, featuring a lot of cooperation. And then I'm over here like trying to even get a deal going, and someone will be like, yeah, let's just not do it. How about let's just throw that? Actually, on second thought, let's just throw that in the toilet and flush it down. How about that,
All right. So I have a really funny add-on. This is not the deal, but this is great. So the Sardak deal that I described. So we're now at the point in the game where they're trying to winslay me. So the table plays Plague. And they plague the planet that I'm on, where it has one of my infantry and one of Sardak's, and they're hoping that they're just going to knock me off of there. But what actually happens is they end up plaguing the Sardak. So you roll for both,
right?
But they rolled bad for Sardak and they rolled good for me. So I got to keep the infantry. I actually took the planet when someone else played Plague, and then because this is the Jolnar game, I had integrated economy, and I built 6 more dudes on the planet.
Dude, I can't do this. I think you're fired. I need your gun.
I don't know what you want me to say. This is something I did. It happened. It really happened.
Yeah. I hear you. It's just
on the other side of things. If this makes you feel better, on the one deal where I made the PDS and Malice. I also spent 7 resources to make 1 infantry.
Okay. Well, that doesn't make sense.
So what happened was the time that this deal came up, I had 1 token left,
right?
Which I had to use to spend to score that secret because I just drawn it that round. And it's like, well, I have Elysium left to spend,
right?
But I guess I'm just going to make 1 infantry on the ground when I do this. So I did have to do that as well too, but I did score the point. So
hey, as long as you score, that's
right.
That sounds like 7 resources to score. Now it sounds a lot better. You know what I mean?
Right? It sounds a lot better when I put it that way.
Sounds a whole lot better. Well, yeah. So that's Slumber State. It is interesting. Obviously, you do need some cooperation. One thing I want to note that actually, in the one time that I got to use it, the other player was a little bit confused about this. It is the way that's written. I just want to emphasize that if you're coexisting with someone, they draw 1 additional card. It doesn't mean you get to draw more cards if you're coexisting with them on other planets too.
Right.
That it's just if you experience
it's just the first one that matters.
It's just the first one. After that, it's kind of no go. So you can't kind of triple up on somebody if they're playing really nice with you and draw a bunch of action cards. Although maybe if it worked like that, it might be easier to sell it, but it would also be messed up as far as
one thing I want to point out. I really like it as far as helping to unlock the commander.
Yeah,
and I think one of the easy ways to try to sell this, and you could probably do this too, Hunter. I bet you could.
I'll try.
If I make a deal where it's like you've got a 2 or 3 planet system, let me put a PDS down on each one of them, so that it unlocks my commander faster. And then we'll do an alliance swap.
Ooh.
So you'll get the benefit of my alliance while I'm there. And then you'll also get the action card on top of that as well. So now it's a little bit more juiced up, whether it's one way or, swap either. Like the Arborec one, in theory, you might say that's pretty good for both sides.
Yeah.
And certainly Arborec loves the money. So there's a little bit of juice there to squeeze as well, or maybe like a Coalescence. Coalescence really loves your alliance, so something like that could make sense as well too.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, that does sound like one I could pull off because it's just so fundamentally that's just good.
It helps this person a lot.
Yeah. I'll say in the 3 research games I played, I also got this every time, even though I didn't necessarily intend on that. And I'll say, even though I didn't do deals with it, I still think it's great because I think that part of the Platonic Titans victory involves a little tech that's becoming more and more normal every day, and it is called X89.
Yeah.
And man, do they get pretty crazy with it.
Yeah.
A lot of times X89 too is becoming this thing of like, it's like Mad Men theory. Like if somebody gets it, then we all have to have it. You know what I mean? Like, if I can't handle, especially as Titans, where I'm like, well, one of my big advantages is on the ground. I can't handle you having X89.
It's a big difference. No, I agree with you. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. If I have X89 and you don't, it's a huge difference. I agree.
Right. So you do got to go for that. But yeah, that's the breakthrough. It's good. It's interesting. I think the colors make it worth it. And if you can get some more value out of it, if you're kind of more on the JJ end of the spectrum, it sounds like you can do a lot with it. I mean, that's kind of wild how much value you were getting out of it.
Yeah, the last one I'll point out, I had a number of people who mentioned this to me as well. Yssaril, you probably don't want to give it to them just because it's so good. And like, why are you drawing extra action cards if Yssaril's in the game anyway? Like, the only way you could really justify it would be if you really trust the player and they're never going to magi on you. But even if you do that, it's still like you're giving them the draw 2, discard 1 every single status.
That's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So I don't think it's an additional draw trigger, right? In addition to, so it's so much value for them that I think they'd have to pay you quite a lot for me to want to do that. I don't think I would want to coexist with them most of the time.
Personally, I think that's a deal where that they'd have to pay you more than they have in a single game, like
probably.
Because the thing is, the value that you have to factor in, like that's, I mean, depending on how early it is in the round, like we could be talking about 8 action cards.
I think that's realistic.
Choice, like with with curated choice.
Yeah,
that's so much potential. I mean, the potential value there is winning the game essentially. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to pay for that. Let's talk about the leader suite, and then we can kind of close out the component part and get into some synthesis here. The agent is pretty straightforward. Nice. I've always thought the art on the agent looks really nice. It's Tellurian, the Protector. Very simple ability. When a hit is produced against a unit, you may exhaust this card to cancel that hit. We've got sustained damage on a stick, but also it's worth noting that it is not sustained damage. It is just that you get to do that effect. So therefore, it can't be canceled by any sort of sustained damage canceling type situation. It becomes like a weird component in like the end of the game because you'll end up using it for nefarious purpose to just kind of like meddle in other people's stuff. So like at the beginning of the game, it's like, oh, this is helping me and I'm going to use this to do XYZ. It's also, I think it's a fairly underrated component because you'll see whenever we talk about round 2 with Titans, you have such a locked down path for round 2 in the abstract that I feel like we can really recommend you do like exactly a specific series of things. And part of it is that you have this extra sustain in your back pocket. It's very, very important at that critical juncture. In one of the games that I won, which was my prelims game, I used Tellurian to help hurt my rival Squeamoo's chances of winning the game. And it felt dirty and it felt gross. But it was the right thing to do. So it just kind of works out like that sometimes. I will, of course, read the flavor text.
Cairo's assault mech collapsed under the Necro's assault. Cockpit shattering and legs twisting. The Mordred lunged for the kill, only to be smashed aside by a mighty blow. A towering figure stood over Cairo's mech and bowed slightly. You seemed to need my assistance, ally, they said calmly.
I like that. That's Tellurian right there. Up next, we got Tungstantis, the Gardener. The unlock for this commander is have 5 structures on the game board, which it takes me a little while, but if you're JJ, I guess you just make a deal and then it's done, right? I mean, that's essentially what's up. I mean, one of my big complaints about the faction is that you only start with 1 structure,
It's
and
true.
you're gonna play some, you're gonna play some sleepers. But if you're eagle-eyed, you'll remember that we only started with 3 infantry at home, and depending on how things shake out, maybe that means we only got 3 planets, which means we place 3 tokens, which means on round 2 we get 3 more structures, bringing us up to a total of 4, not 5. So we got to find an extra one somewhere. But the ability is pretty good. It's when 1 or more of your units use production, you may gain 1 trade good. We've already mentioned the Arborec swap, which is pretty sick. It's good for Arborec. It's good for you. Your Hel-Titans produce, so anytime someone activates you, that's a little extra production you're getting there. I think it's a little better for Arborec, I will say, because Arborec is getting, trade good. If they decided to go Sarween Arborec, then they're literally making money, essentially. I mean, they just move and they make money. For Tungstantis, we're gonna assume a slightly different pitch here for the flavor text.
Here we go. While other Titans explore the galaxy, Tungstantis remains on Elysium, working tirelessly to see it become a paradise that blends the natural and the machine.
Pretty good. Or do you have something you want to say about Tungstantis?
I do. Aside from the deal stuff we talked about, when you're producing, so for one thing, remember that it's production, not producing units. So like sling relay stuff doesn't count. It has to be production.
It has to be real production.
Yeah. Which your Hel-Titans do have, but anyway. The trade good that you get from this can be spent on that same production window.
Absolutely.
And you're gaining it when you're... So like there's a weird thing where like you might have 0 resources, no money, activate, have 2 Hel-Titans in a system, and still be able to use that dollar to make 2 infantry or whatever. So that's a little bit of a weird thing.
Yeah.
The number of trade goods that the Titans player has after producing units is what's used to determine if Mentech may pillage them. So if you have like 2 trade goods, you produce, gain 1. As long as you spend down, then Mentech can't pillage it away from you.
Yeah. That's totally an important thing to note. That's something that was like big in the POK era that like is worth re-emphasizing. But yeah, you should be, and it will lead you to a lot of times where you have to like, well, I guess I'm gaining this trade good, but I am going to spend it on 1 infantry instead of 2. I think that's fine. Don't stress about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't always have to go maximum value. Just like get your stuff used on something,
If you're building already, you might as well just get your thing for free.
Absolutely. It's also one of the few components that allows you to generate trade goods on your own. Next to like Psycho will allow you to do this, which is something everybody can kind of get a handle on. But what's so important about abilities like that is whenever you get a lead in the game or you get to the late game, players will start watching how many trade goods you have, and they'll want to try to prevent that. And there are times where Titans can sort of just do a lot of sort of fake production in order to just get trade goods together in order to score, which is really like kind of an ideal situation. And it reminds me a lot of how a lot of late game Necro stuff ends up being, is you're just using their components to generate trade goods and say, okay, well, now I've got these trade goods. How are you going to deal with me now? Let's talk about the hero, which is the hero is all himself. It's all the Progenitor, the Progenitor. And the unlock is normal, have 3 scored objectives. And let's do that flavor text.
Even now. Nope, that's not right.
I think that's, yeah. Let's a little bit of, there we go. Even now, we search the galaxy to awaken our slumbering kin. But there is one other greater than any of us, and it is time they slept no longer.
The ability is called Geoform. It is referred to as an awakening on the card. And the ability is action, ready Elysium, and attach this card to it. Its resource and influence values are each increased by 3, and it gains the Space Cannon 5 times 3, so 3 dice on a 5 ability, as if it were a unit. Confusing confusingness here. You attach this. It is not an attachment, and it even has a little attachment token. That's Dane. That was a mess up. That was a little goof 'em up there, Dane. But it is important to note that it is not an attachment. I mean, I'm not sure why. It's not because we just say it's not. But I guess if it was, that's kind of too much, really. That's not going to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, there's like some objectives that are like there's the stage 2, which is 3 attachments, and if you get one in your heavily defended home system, that's kind of a leg up on it.
With extra space cannon there, too.
With extra space cannon, so I don't know. Maybe that was a power level thing that they just thought it was too much when they play tested. But
my favorite part about it is you get to refresh Elysium, so that's a double spend round.
It's very good.
Big deal. Obviously, it's going to turn Elysium into a 7 resource. 4 influence planet. Pretty good. Okay. Pretty sick.
And honestly, like you'll use that for influence to get tokens a decent number of games. Like,
oh, for sure you will.
Even though you'd rather have the 7 resources, like there's so many times with Titans, like you want influence and you'll use it for that first.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll actually go a little further than you. And I'll say, I think that the influence is probably going to be more relevant most of the time. We're Titans. It's cheap. We're cheap. You know,
that's true.
Your Saturn Engine 2s, they cost $2.
2 resources.
What are you doing? What are you doing spending the 7 resources for? It's a trap, is what it is. Dane is trying to trick you into spending it for the 7. But actually, that 4 influence is going to matter a lot more. It's going to go a lot further and help you be versatile and loose, because your only downfall here is your lack of influence. That's it. That's the only thing we got to worry about. Everything else we've got solutions for all this stuff. Yeah. And then he dares try to trick you with that 7 resource. He's fishing. He's trying to get you.
How else am I going to double tech if I don't have a 7 resource home system? Come on, Hunter.
You're such an easy mark for this, you know? He sees you and he's like, oh, I know I can get him spending on. He's going to double tech and not even get the extra value out of the resource. He's going to throw that in the trash because he's
That's true.
Crazy for
That's
this
true.
double tech.
All in the garbage.
He's got to have it. All right. Well, that's the components. Let's talk that high level stuff we got. Let's put all this together. Let's talk about drafting as Titans, map stuff. Which this is great because I was just saying influence. We're looking for influence.
Yeah.
Big time. We want a slice with influence in the slice. I played a game where this is, I was playing with like a different group of people that maybe they have a slightly different philosophy when it comes to Twilight Imperium. Which is good. It's good for me to get outside of my comfort zone. And that they had built the map. The map had in the slice, get this, 3 influence, and not on one planet, on separate planets.
Oof.
So each planet only had 1 and one of them wasn't even a planet. One of them, so technically one of them was the watchtower. So technically I guess that counts as 2, sort of, if we're spending that trade good on influence. But pretty
that's
rough.
tough. That's pretty tough. Yeah, that's not much. Like, I agree with you that like in drafting situations, it's like we're probably taking Titans early because they're one of the better factions, and you're probably going to have to take it. Maybe not like if you're the very first player in the draft. I could see a number of drafts where I would take Titans over every other faction.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be every draft, but pretty often, regardless of whether you're the very first pick or like the 3rd or 4th pick overall, I think Titans is going to go in that first round of picks in like a regular Milty sort of situation.
Yeah.
And then when you have them, I think that there are a lot of strategy cards that they can utilize, and they're okay with being last pick if they have to. So like Slice is definitely the second pick for them, and you nailed it. Like, to me, influence is number 1. So like we talked about the breakthrough. The breakthrough, at least in my experience, has made it easier to score certain control objectives. Like that was always a thing for me in the past where I as a drafter tend to prioritize 4 of a kind, 3 tech skips, push boundary stuff, like all those different objectives. But as Titans, whether it's friendly with the breakthrough or not friendly with your cruisers, they are very good at control objectives. And
Yes.
so I think for them, if they have enough influence, they can kind of do almost anything that we're talking about here so far. So like I would prioritize, like I would take a 0-8 influence slice if I
For
had
sure.
to.
For
And
sure.
and I would say that's totally fine for them.
I could work that.
I could work with that, and I could have a pretty good game versus like something that was like a 7-3, 7 resources and 3 influence would not be great for them. Because like
No.
and you talked about it, like yes, the home system you're going to spend on influence so often, but like in the situation I described, like a 0-8, you could spend the home system for your resources and you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really need a whole lot more beyond that.
Yeah, and you're just using your commander can get a lot of work done there of just like collecting the like extra goods here and there, getting your like little builds out, using the deploy abilities too, like effectively to make sure that we have like enough stuff on the ground. Like we've got a lot of value just sort of on the sheet already there that if we just extract is going to be cool. The only thing we're not given is some sort of way to make sure we got those tasty Doritos, those triangle shaped, those tasty chippies. We need the chippies. If we got no chippies, then we can't do none of this. And we don't really have an easy way to get that. We are 2 commodity factions, so like that bites us a little bit. I want to talk about skips a little bit when it comes to drafting. Obviously, we're yellow-green synergy. I'm very I want to do the late game pivot into X89. There are other things that I'm down to pivot with. So obviously playing into our synergy is good. Green and yellow is good. I like a red too, not against a red.
Sure.
Honestly, at this point, the only thing that's kind of fallen out of favor with me is like, I just don't know if I care about the blue stuff that much. I'll get it because blue is always good and Fleet Logistics wins games. But I actually think they are... yellow-green synergy was like over-prioritized, right? But I actually think it's the right synergy for Titans.
I agree.
It helps. It makes sense. It's allowing me to throw a lot of weird stuff in supplemental-wise. You already mentioned that you got integrated in one of your games. Integrated is like a Titans thing. It makes sense for them big time.
Yeah, one of the strengths of a cruiser fleet is that you have so much reach that you can get to, but you can't take as much stuff. Now, Titans is a little bit breaking the rule because they get to carry 2 things with their cruisers, but like even with that, you're going to have like maybe a fighter and an infantry.
Right.
Maybe if you send 2 cruisers, you have 2 fighters, 2 infantry. It's not a lot of stuff, right?
Yep.
And yes, integrated now says like if you take a fracture like Coalescence, it's got the 3 resource planet. You build 6 pieces of cardboard when you take it. That's a pretty big deal. And that's not
crazy.
like a super high resource planet. And it's there, pretty often. So I agree. I think that having access to integrated is pretty good for them. And definitely X89 as well, too.
I think, prioritizing influence, having some sort of tech skip option. At this point, like, tech skips are so, like, important to the flow of the game that
and the
I'm
fracture.
not even... Yeah, because of the fracture, it's almost like... If your slice doesn't have a tech skip in it, no matter what faction you're playing, I hate it. And I hate that, like, it's not cool for you. You need to have one. I have tried in the tournament drafting, I've had to completely retool my mind when it comes to that kind of thing and sort of over prioritize them in a way that is actually, it's creating this new issue with building maps that, even though we have more tiles than we've ever had, it's starting to feel really constricted. Because if I build a slice for someone and I say, well, this one doesn't have a tech skip, it's like, well, that's the worst one. It doesn't care. Who cares about the values? It doesn't have you have no shot at Ingress at all. From the beginning of the game. You're going to know that too. That's sad. I don't want that,
Yeah. Well, your option in those situations is you have to go through Mechatol.
Right.
Or someone else's slice, which is harder than Mechatol, I would say, most of the time.
Yes. And my only issue with that, so I think even why this is specifically relevant to Titans is Mechatol as the backup works for a lot of factions. I think it doesn't really work for Titans, sadly. Titans is good at taking Mechatol, don't get me wrong, but they're not good at staging there because you can't explore Mechatol Rex. So you can't get your, I mean, unless you got transit, there's no getting your Hel-Titans in position correctly, which this is definitely a my take versus your take type thing, because I feel like you probably get to transit fast enough to where you could make that work, but I won't, is the thing. I'll get to transit too late, and then I won't be able to stage on Mechatol in order to go from there into the fracture.
No, I agree with you. Like, outside of like a weird deep rot and or Jolnar kind of situation, you're going to have a hard time to make that particular play work. I still think Transit's got some reasonable applications, which we'll get to, but like, I think it's not really the sticks play, which again, that's why we're still going to advocate tech skips being pretty important. Yeah, and I agree with you. Yellow, green, and red are all good.
For sure. All right. Well, before we get into like our early game plan, kind of summarizing, I want to talk just sort of making sure that people understand like what are the basic strengths and weaknesses that we are sort of outlining. We've said it already, but I just want to have this like point of like, here's what it is so far. We've got the versatility of Saturn Engine 2s being this kind of all-in-one Swiss Army knife type unit. It does really everything we need it to do, and it's cheap. It's great. And that's awesome. We have power projection for control objectives in such a way that we're kind of unrivaled in this way, because, you know, you could say like Arborek is better at this, but Arborek kind of moves in like a straight line. They're built with this kind of like march forward. Titans, because of the sleeper tokens, we're just kind of, we have these options, you know. There's like, oh, we could redeem this sleeper over here and get a Hel-Titan. We might not even do it, you know what I mean? But it's just, that's why I say it's power projection with Titans. It's, we might be effective in all of these different places, controlling all of these different planets. And even though there's a little bit of difference here in our approach between me and JJ, I have to concede that having a coexistence option is effective for control objectives in a big way. So we've got power projection. We've got this very versatile unit. We have structure advantage. We never need to use construction. We never, ever need to do the secondary, not even once, which is crazy. We're so liberated from one of the strategy cards that basically every other faction has to play around.
That's one of the hardest objectives for a lot of factions. Like structures is really hard, and we do those in our sleep.
Yes, it's crazy. I mean, if you have a 3-planet system in your slice that you can get to, you go there. The next round, you can redeem that for 3 structures. I mean, that's more than you get for doing the primary of construction. Like, this is ludicrous at this point, as far as like what our potential structure advantage even is. I have no problem when I'm playing Titans ending up at the end of the game where I have gotten all of my Hel-Titans out. Basically,
that's pretty normal.
Not even hard. So we have a big advantage there, I would say, and that structure advantage also leans into, we have a lot of very weird angles we can play on some of the more difficult secret objectives. Turn their fleets to dust. Okay, I can do it. You know, I can figure it out. Yeah, I can pivot to it even. Most factions can't pivot to fleets to dust. Like, if they draw it late, they can't be like, oh, well, I can make some adjustments to make it happen. No, they're just like, well, that's dead.
Oh, you mean I don't have Hel-Titan 2? All right, Hunter, let me just make a deal where I'll put 3 PDS in your slice and I'll fire on your 1 destroyer there, but I'll pay you for the privilege of doing that.
Yep.
How does that sound? That's something Titans can do. Whether you'll be successful with that deal is another question, but like, they have the ability to do that, which is crazy.
Yeah. 9 ground forces on a planet without a space dock, easy peasy. Do it in our sleep. Yeah. We can absolutely make that happen. In fact, really the only challenge there is maybe the capacity limit of our Saturn Engine 2s, but by the end of the game, hopefully you have a big fleet of Saturn Engine 2s that can carry a lot of stuff. But that actually kind of feeds into our major weakness that we've already talked about. But there's a angle on it we haven't even discussed, which is the one drawback of the Saturn Engine 2 is that it is a unit that takes up an entire fleet pool. Okay, so yes, it's efficient. Yes, it can do all of these different things, but that's more Dorito. That's more chippy stuff. We're talking about now chippies we need in the fleet pool so that we can have a bunch of Saturn engines do something useful at the end of the game. So we need chippies to get the structures. We need chippies to move and take planets. And we need chippies in fleet. It's a lot. So influence is a big problem to solve. And how well you solve that problem dictates how versatile you're actually going to be by the end of the game. So you do have to solve it. This is not like Crimson, where it's like all the answers are there, bud. Like you don't even need to study for the test. Just read it. You know what I mean? Like it's an open book test. This is not an open book test. You do have to get the chippies out of the bowl. Really digging chippies today, I guess. And if you don't, then it's going to be slower. And you want to have as many options as possible. I feel like that's their strengths and weaknesses.
I agree with everything you said already. I'll also add that the tech path for them is a little funky.
Yeah.
And we talked about how important the Saturn engine is, but they don't really start with great colors to get them to that point. Just as a reminder, again, the breakthrough lets you swap one of your colors around, but it doesn't give you like your yellow doesn't become a yellow and a green. You have to get another one on top of what you start with for the yellow. So like, it's very important to do that. I do think upgrading Saturn engines is like the number one thing that you want to do in your game. But once you get to that point, you could probably ease off tech a little bit if you really wanted to.
Yeah, they can go pretty tech light and still be very successful, which we'll talk about whenever we talk about core tech. But yeah, so that's their strengths and weaknesses. Let's get into some really like specific granular advice. I want to give, this is like something I want to try as like a segment. I think it works for Titans. It might not work for every faction, but I just want to give you like a concrete early game plan. Like here's what you do basically. I don't know your objectives, but I don't really have to with Titans. I without your objectives, I can still tell you exactly what I think you should do.
Actually, that does remind me of another strength of theirs, which we've kind of danced around a little bit. But in terms of stage 1 objectives and secrets,
oh my God. Yeah.
Titans are one of the best at scoring all of them.
All of them.
Like there's a couple that can be a little tricky round 1. Like if unit upgrades comes up, you're sad. And
that's true for everybody. I would.
But that's true. That's true for almost everybody.
Almost everybody.
Almost.
All right, sure, fine.
But that one's tough. Sometimes trade goods can be a little tough round 1, but if you sell Terraform, but like control objectives, spendy objectives, structure objectives, you can do it all. You have the tools that you can do any of those.
Yes.
And so they are definitely a faction where you're going to start off on the right foot, scoring round 1, and you should be able to score basically every round after that, unless your game gets derailed in some way.
Yes. Well, yeah, as far as game plan goes, I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head of like, we're going to score. We're going to take a look at what the objective is, and we're going to score. And the other thing that we're going to do is we are going to either take custodians or we're going to take Mechatol Rex right after the player that takes custodians takes Mechatol Rex. And the reliability on that.
And do Imperial.
And do Imperial. Yeah. So like I'm abstractly saying, I can say this, my certainty and confidence level on this is like 1,000,000,000%. So we are either taking politics because we're doing custodians, or we're taking politics because we're doing Imperial, or we're taking something else and we're taking Imperial on round 2. Does that make sense? Like that's what I'm talking about. We're either going to get there first or we're going to get there second. And if we get there second, I promise you, we're still doing it. There ain't no keeping me away from it. We've got the agent. We've got Tellurian. Nobody can get enough ships there is the issue to have some sort of problem.
There's one.
Which is who?
Sar. Clan of Sar.
Oh, sure. Yes.
If you've got a Clan of Sar in your game, that one can be tricky.
Depends on how they do it, though.
But it
Sometimes
depends on how
Sar
they
comes
do it.
down
Exactly.
Way too light into Mech Rex. But yeah.
So, but like they're one of the exceptions where they can put enough there that you maybe don't win that battle.
It's true.
But if they do that, that means they've left a bunch of stuff empty behind them. So maybe you just go take that instead. And they don't really want to do that because you're Titans and you have the movement to do it. So
right.
But yeah, I would agree with you. In like almost every game, this is a executable game plan that you can repeat.
Yes. So I would say, here's an interesting and open question. As far as recommending what players do, let's say they have a choice, and the choice is between they could do their round one this particular way and they could score, or their secondary choice would be to take custodians. Which do you think they should do in that situation?
Are we saying round one custodians or round two custodians?
We're saying they can either score at the end of round one, or they can take custodians first action round two.
So I have a hard time with this. I think scoring round one is probably what I would pick.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I would do that is I'm confident, like you said, about being able to do the Imperial round two. And in my experience, a lot of times round two, there's not as much competition for Imperial, but we're one of the factions that's really good at it.
Yes.
And so because of that, I think there's a good chance I'll either get it round two or maybe even like round three, and I'll be able to get that bonus point. Like when we're talking about Imperial, at least when I'm talking about it, I don't care about double scoring necessarily.
Yeah.
If I can, that's cool. That's cool. But like my main goal when I take Imperial is just to get that bonus point.
Right.
Because like I'm trying to get that tempo done to where I'm going to be able to win action phase round 5. That's the goal. And so like taking Imperial round 2 lets me do that. But the problem with taking Custodians round 2 but not scoring round 1 means that I am still going to need Imperial at some point,
right,
in order to have that same tempo we just talked about. And it's possible that, you know, if it was hard enough that I couldn't score round 1 as Titans, there's probably multiple factions that are going to need Imperial, and it's going to be really hard to get it back. So I think for me, it's going to be score round 1, get the publics, and stay on tempo there.
Yes. I want to say I completely agree. And I literally played the game where I did the opposite and did not like it. So yeah, I think it's way more reliable that you can take Imperial on round 2 and make up the time than it is that you can over prioritize Custodians at the expense of your tempo and then make it up later. I think the making it up later is maybe not as it's just not as reliable, basically. And also this is also a good punishment because people keep sleeping on Imperial round 2, and you can punish that because people just won't take it at all.
In one of my games, I got it last pick.
Yeah, that could happen. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can
Nobody else wanted to
prioritize.
take it, and I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and take it. There was one time so I don't recommend ditching the secret for the breakthrough as a general rule. But one of my games, I did do it just to try, just to see. In that same game, I still took Imperial, so I still didn't get a regular secret draw in round 2. But nobody else was going to take it. I had to. So like it basically is replacing the secret at that point. But there's so many people who just don't want to do it because if you can take the Mechatol point, that's good enough. And we're the faction at the table who's almost always going to be best at doing that round 2.
Yes. I do want to emphasize though, even though like my point here is that I want to make sure that you understand the options that you have going into the game so that you sort of don't get lost, basically. And that's the importance, is just to remember that the Imperial round 2 play is something you can do that is going to help kind of lock in your situation being good. I did it in literally every single one of my games. Yes, it's every single one. Yeah. I still think that I will say I think your platonic ideal is you score, and this happens for me a lot because they're so good at scoring round 1. You score round 1, you take politics, score round 1 and you get custodians. I mean, that's the ideal still, but I just want to emphasize in the world where you can't do that for some reason, like, don't sweat. It's fine.
Right.
You will get your opportunity to swing it back around. So yeah, on that, we should probably transition into strategy cards just to kind of do a good overview. Let's go through it in order. We can talk about leadership first. I think leadership is especially early game, is like a medium to high priority because of so many reasons that we've already laid out, but we are a machine that runs on gas. And
we need Doritos.
Yes, we need the Doritos. The chippies fuel us. Otherwise, we get sleepy, you know?
These Titan trucks aren't going to fuel themselves. We got to have those Doritos to keep on trucking.
Yes, we need the gas. And actually, I will say there are some opportunities that Leadership Round 1 presents us that we wouldn't have normally, which have to do mostly with a breakthrough. So if we get the breakthrough, then we want to redeem it earliest. Now leadership makes that possible. It also could allow us to do like weird frivolous following of like construction in order to, like, while we never need to follow construction, we could follow it with the intent to get our commander unlocked, you know, first thing round 2, that kind of thing, like in a way that we wouldn't be able to,
or get a mech in an infantry. Like
That's
maybe
true.
You just really need more ground forces. Maybe.
Yeah, and that could be the story. There might be you setting up for that Imperial play. You're wanting to have a mech whenever you go and invade Mechatol Rex. So yeah, a lot of decent options there with the leadership. I do like it. Diplomacy, I'm gonna say, is kind of for me it's a lower priority. Even though there is like there's an angle shooty, or not angle shooty. There's a weird angle here where we could use Diplo to get some influence and get some extra chippies. I don't know. At this point, if you don't have a breakthrough that you need to unlock immediately, Diplo just doesn't seem very important for me. And there's no rush on unlocking the breakthrough. I'm not even sold that we have to, you know, like, it's not essential, especially if we have the right skips, basically. If we've got some green skips, I maybe don't care at all. But
yeah, I agree. This one is like below average for me, but it is a reasonable choice. I mean, basically, I'm taking this if I need to score my public with it. That's because again, I care about like if I need to, you know, spend 8 resources or something like that. Maybe I would probably consider Diplo.
For sure. Politics is up next. I've sort of already said what I feel about this one. I will say it is in the world that you can score round 1. It is my top pick. It's my number 1. But with the caveat that you can score, because if you can't score, then it's just not that important. You can make it up. So I don't know.
Here's a question for you.
Yes.
So let's say you're in a game where there's someone else who looks like they're going to get custodians before you, whether it's a Nalu with a straight path to Mechatol, or maybe a Deep Rot who looks like they're probably going to get it round 1, because round 1's a little more common these days.
For sure.
If you see that situation, do you still think politics is a high pick?
It depends on so it depends on what. Are they ahead of me in speaker order already, like in round 1? You know what I mean? Like, if
they're
I
probably
imagining
behind
a situation,
you in this. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I think I still probably err on the side of taking politics. The thing about round 2 is that it gives me so much. In that situation, I have so much clarity and certainty. I'm always playing a game in my head against myself, where I'm doing things to mess up myself. So a lot of times I will take, I think, a more conservative outlook than other players, because I just don't want to be messed up. And I like the certainty of knowing I've taken politics, I have speaker, I will get to do this play the way I want to. Even though it does seem a little weird to take politics and then top of round 2 take Imperial, and then I'm just going in for custodians. But hopefully I see this all coming, you know, a mile away. And if that's the case, then I'm just doing a lot of setting up. And maybe even, you know, maybe even drawing an action card that is relevant or helpful, in that
or
situation.
get the breakthrough. Like that is
Yes.
one of the better ones for your breakthrough spin is doing politics.
It's tough. That's a hard one to answer abstractly because I think a lot relies on exactly the vibe and the exact position of everything. But that's my answer.
But we're in agreement. This is a high pick overall. This is one you should strongly consider.
Yeah. It's just that we can do it, really. It's like anytime you're somebody that can get there, I'm going to say, well, yeah, politics is going to be important, basically. So, yeah. I think it's worth it. I think that honestly we kind of just have a lot of good options is the thing too that you should remember because of that round 2 Imperial backup. This section is maybe a little less important than it is for some of the more like critical factions that struggle more in round 1. Construction is up next. This isn't really one for me. There are some upsides. The upside is that we get to build at home some more infantry and possibly take more planets because again we are actually sort of hard locked into 3 planets in total to take round 1, and depending on how your slice is set up that might be kind of low, or it might involve sometimes as Titans I have to like send 1 cruiser to a 2-planet system and only take 1 planet there because I'm trying to get the most value basically. And construction lets you get around that, I guess.
Here's my pitch for so I do think it's still on the bottom half overall of picks, but one of the upsides is like because you can place the PDS and make it a mech plus an infantry. What I sometimes do is I'll build 2 cruisers with the home system. I'll get the mech and the infantry from the PDS that I would have placed.
Yes.
And now I've got another fleet that can go and take 2 more planets somewhere. So now, and without spending any other influence tokens, whatever, nothing else happening, I get to take 5 planets round 1 with my home system planets. So, it can be the right choice sometimes. That's more of like a I'm last pick or 5th pick kind of situation. Right. But like there is a little bit of play there for getting a few more ground forces.
I would do that before I would take like Diplo and just
I think so too.
Value. Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.
Up next is trade. This is always high, but it's definitely high for us because we need the money. We like money. We need it. It's funny, we have no trade ships because all of our ships are doing something. So a lot of times you end up trading as Titans because you took the equidistant.
Hey, I went to your equidistance. Yeah. I'm glad that you had this really cool planet right here that I just took. Hey, would you like to trade with me? I have come bearing an offer of X-1. Are you pleased with this offer?
Isn't that good? And now I've placed a sleeper token here. Don't worry about it. Just forget it. It's all good. No worries. Oh, I would never redeem that to keep this equidistant forever. Right. Why would I do that? Oh, I'm so nice. Yeah. Right. So it's that style of trading. But hey, I mean, this is Space Cats Peace Turtles. We're filthy. I don't care. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. You took it. I mean, I guess that was, if you got there before me, it's in your slice. That's just that's just how slices work, by the way, which I do like to remind people that you don't own the equidistance. That's not how it works. Like the only reason slices exist is because you can get there before the other person. If the other person get there before you, then you have no claim to it. That's just
Titans are very good at that. If they really want to get there first, they usually can.
For real.
I was on the receiving end of this one time. I remember I was the Nalu. I had moved my starting fleet into the center ring, move 1, like you oftentimes do.
Yes.
My Titans neighbor, their first action of the game, they send both cruisers and infantry into my system next to home and took the 2 planets there and placed sleepers down. Like, that's not the way I would typically go for it, but they can do it, And like, if it's cultural, maybe they pulled DMZ or something and keep it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine how this would work exactly. But this is our round 1 custodians play. Also is with trade.
For trade,
yeah, because we can follow tech for gravity drive, and then with gravity drive, one of the Saturn engines can take us there. And if we play trade, we get some of our X-1s done. Maybe there's a Hakan in the game and then we get all of them done, in which case, like, this is kind of a no-brainer. But even in a situation where it's harder than that, sell terraforming, then suddenly, like, we've got the cash and we get it done. Now, you know, round 1 custodians, how important is that to do? I kind of like that better in a situation where no one can score. Like, the objectives were so hard that no one is getting it done for some reason.
Yeah, like 2 tech objectives comes up would be kind of your nightmare as Titans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then yeah, sure. I mean, I'm definitely going to try to round 1 custodians because I got to get something, you know, out of this situation. So yeah, trade is kind of our easier example of that. Obviously, that same case I just made is like another case for like Diplo if the slices are set up correctly. It's just, you know, you're maybe like a little too spread too thin in that version of it.
And timing dependent too.
Yes, super timing dependent. Up next is warfare. And I think this is our most fun option and has changed a bit. This is important to talk about how warfare potential is a little bit different. Because we don't use a token to activate, but it counts as activation. We get to put all these sleeper tokens down that we can redeem immediately. And it also helps us take, what I would say is like, we don't have a bad...
Real quick, when you say immediately, you mean in this round.
In this round, yes.
Not
I don't
that
mean
warfare activation.
Yes. Which technically that was true of the old warfare as well, but it just, I don't know, it hit a little different, I feel like. And maybe that's just like in my mind. But now being able to just go somewhere and use that as the staging system, where from there I'm going to continue to expand and place sleeper tokens everywhere. That's where you can really have a power projection round 1 type thing. And also, if you have a 3-planet system that you end up using warfare on, that's where you're really getting all the structure objectives done right away. Now they're all
in
done.
one activation. Yep.
One activation. You got 3 outside
3-planet system next to home is so sick. Yep.
So cool. So I like warfare a lot, and I think it can help you do a lot of really, really weird stuff, which is great. And we want to go ahead and expand out and get our sleepers down and start redeeming them too. That way we can also get the commander unlocked sooner, you know. With warfare round 1 play, we're way more likely to get Tungstantis unlocked by like second action round 2. I guess technically it could be first action in the 3-planet system that we described, but yeah, it's probably going to be second, which is good. That is incredible. Last one we got is tech. I'm not so hot on tech for Titans. I'll say I just don't think we really need it that much, but I'm down to hear what you have to say.
So stop the camera, because this is the not the first time again. This is not the first time this has come up. Newsflash: Hunter not high on tech. JJ high on tech.
No. There are factions that where I'm like round 1 they have to get tech because it does XYZ for them. But what is it? You don't need. You have no like immediate like break glass. Press
it's
the
tough.
Button.
So I would say, it is a middling pick. It's not like, I still feel leadership, trade more important, and politics too. But like somewhere in that 3rd, 4th range is like where tech lies, and especially if there is a tech objective. The thing is, I do feel very strongly that you have to get Saturn engines quickly. Yeah. And for me, in all of my games, I got some tech round 1 that didn't immediately pay off. But that was okay, because round 2, I had Saturn Engine 2, and suddenly my fleets were stronger than anybody else's on the board. And the couple of cruisers that I had out there really got to do, you know, go into the fracture, taking Mechatol, all sorts of important stuff. And so that to me is like you're delaying the force projection of your Saturn engines around if you don't get a tech. Now, you don't necessarily have to be tech primary. You can probably, a lot of games work it out where you don't need to be the primary. You can follow it, and then you can do whatever else with your politics, primary or whatever. I just think that it's important that it exists and that you get closer towards Saturn Engine 2.
Here's what it is. I'm realizing this is what's been bothering me about round one tech.
Okay.
In the POK era, it was actually kind of cool that tech was 7 because it was like,
the
I could go
initiative
last.
ordering.
Yeah, initiative order was cool. But
Yeah.
now the way warfare
And you're after
works-
warfare. Exactly. Yes.
But now warfare pops first action.
Yeah.
You haven't even taken a turn yet, and now you don't get to follow warfare. Like that bothers me. That's annoying.
It's tough. No, that's true. If you take tech and warfare goes first, which it often does, you probably won't be building any capital ships off of that. So,
Yeah.
because you start with great ships. You've got a dread and
Mhm.
2 cruisers. Like you don't need more.
Yeah.
So you're right. That is a real problem. And if that happens first action, you're going to be sad. So
Yeah.
try to negotiate so that doesn't happen. But you can't always make everything work like that.
Yeah.
So
You can't always get what you want.
can't always get what you want.
It's funny that I think I agree with your placement though, by the way. I would put it like in priority order. I think it goes slots neatly underneath leadership for me.
Yeah.
It's still above construction or diplomacy in a vacuum. But I'd probably take pretty much everything else over tech right now. But speaking of tech, let's talk about the tech path. Let's talk about what's
hold
in the
on.
research. Oh,
Hold
yeah,
on.
Go ahead.
There's Imperial.
Okay.
We didn't talk about
round
Imperial.
1. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Imperial round 1.
So I did not do this in any research games.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that I had tried it at least once, because is it easy to pull off a double score round 1? No. But of all the factions we've talked about already, and of all the factions that we're going to talk about, I feel like Titans is one where you could, in certain very specific situations, justify doing this.
How are you going to have enough tokens to do it? That's my question.
So what I'm envisioning
Mm-hmm.
is something like 2 control objectives that they can pull off with 3 tokens.
Okay.
Now, so make history with the 2 legendary anomalies.
Yes.
If you
Go ahead.
had like access to 2 legendaries, that's possible.
That's one.
That's one. And then like if you had like push boundaries, maybe, for example. So what I'm envisioning is I take my legendary, I coexist with you on another legendary.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 2 tokens, and then I grab, a triple planet or double planet system, I guess, whatever it is, and I push boundaries as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that I could see. I'm not saying it's going to happen. So to be clear, 90% of the time you shouldn't do this.
Right.
This is not a good strategy.
Right.
But Titans is one where there are some Christmas lands where that could happen.
That's true.
And there are so many stage 1s that they could do. I would at least consider it. Plus, if you're going to do what I'm talking about, I think you're going to be able to still do the Imperial round 2. So now you've got the extra secret that you're not losing out on the secret draw.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not saying it's one that I'm going to do very often, but I'm at least going to think about it with this faction.
That's fair. I mean, I like that there was a reason to talk about Imperial in that way. I mean, I will say that even in your Christmas land, it was Christmas land being cool with it. You know what I mean? Like you did need help from the player that agreed.
I did. That's true. Maybe I'm selling them Terraform as part of this deal or something.
Maybe.
Like there's things you can cook up where it could make sense. So
yeah. I think, you know what happens, I think, in your games a lot? I think you cook up these devious plans.
Devious?
Well, yeah, or well, maybe not. Maybe ambitious. Maybe I would say
ambitious is right. Yes,
you're like rubbing your hands together. You're excited about the plot.
Yeah,
and I think there are people who see you do that, and they're like, "I want to see this happen. This sounds cool."
Absolutely
it greases the wheels a little bit. In a way that, like, I don't know. I got to figure out how to get some of that grease into my life, basically.
It's true. I mean, that's definitely fair. Like, there's a number, like, literally in one of the games that I played, I was like, do you want this to be the playtest game where we had Jolnar and Deep Rot and see what happens? Or do you want this to be the boring one where one of them is on the bench because people are tired of it?
Right.
And I'm like, let's just try it and let's just see when we run wild with it. What can we do? What are the possibilities? And so there is some of that it's a little bit of the Timmy dream, Yeah. And I try to appeal to that. But it's genuine excitement for me, right? Like
Right.
I'm saying these things because I am seeing some Christmas Land scenario that I just want to try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I think that's cool. I would love to pull that off. At this point, like, I mean, I did not pull that off, and yeah, I don't know. I would love to see it. But yeah, that's it for strategy cards. Let's talk about tech path. There's a lot here that could be relevant, and what's nice is there's not a lot that we need, basically.
Yeah.
I've only identified 2 core tech, and actually this might be I might be being a little bit dramatic, but obviously the first core tech is Saturn Engine 2. We've already talked about this plenty.
Yep.
But to me, that second core tech, because I just see this, it comes up too much in the platonic ideal, I go to sticks, I win, X89. I just think that I guess what I mean, if I'm playing a Titans game, I want X89 always to be plausible to throw into the mix. And if it's not plausible, then I feel a little I feel naked. You know what I mean? I'm like,
you want to be able to get X89 if other people have invested in it too.
Yes. Or just if I see it as the closer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost in the same way that most factions will think about fleet logistics. I think that X89 for Titans in this particular situation is actually more of their fleet log, like, and now we're going to win the game.
The finishing move for them.
Yes. I think it's their finishing move right now. I just feel like it because their only disadvantage really is that some factions by the end of the game that get to choose different units as the backbone of their fleet, like Carrier 2 is like what I'm thinking of primarily.
Yep.
That they could just outnumber you,
Yeah.
So we have versatility in that we have one ship that does everything, but it doesn't do everything S tier. It just does everything. So it's an all-rounder. But other people could be like, well, listen, you have like 5 Saturn Engine 2s with like 2 capacity each, so that's 10 capacity. But I've got 3 Carrier 2s, like that's a lot more capacity.
That's way more HP.
Yeah. Yep. So that's tough. And I'm like less concerned about it in the sky because of sustain is like, because remember each of our Saturn engines is worth 2 HP, but it's more that it concerns me on the ground, that they're going to get more stuff on the ground than I can handle. And so X89 is my way of making up the difference. And I literally had my prelims game was one where I was outnumbered essentially, but X89 just made up the difference. And I think even my opponent had X89 also, but the issue was they were all infantry and I had more like guaranteed
mechs.
More likely hits from mechs.
Yeah.
Again, because of capacity, like the lower your capacity, the more mechs are important because every mech has like more HP that they're bringing to the fight. And I was able to completely blow it out of the water. It was just like one fell swoop. Okay, I rolled all the dice. I got more hits than my opponent. Well, that's probably the whole game then. And it was for Shard. So to me, those are the ones that I see. I don't know. Are there any other tech that you consider like absolutely essential for Titans?
So they have a lot of ones that are good for them.
Yes.
But not a lot that is required. So like, I'll give a shout out to Magen for being pretty good for them.
Very cool. Yeah.
Because they get all the PDS out there and now that's an extra hit plus dude on every single one of those planets where they're floating around. But like, it's more like holding on to the win and protecting like your edge planets or whatever for a control objectives. Like you need kind of specific objectives for that to really make a lot of sense.
Right.
I'd say a lot of games, the mobility of getting into the fracture and taking those planets and the sticks in particular too is more important to a win than, because like, I think we talked about it, but like we're really good at taking the relics from the outside edge planets in sticks.
Yes.
Like Lethe Phlegathon. Like I've done that a number of times where like my Saturn Engine 2 with a fighter. So two Saturn engines, a fighter, Mech 2 infantry is probably enough to take everything in the Lethe Phlegathon system, the 2-planet system.
Right.
And so like plus your agent, right? So like I think that's pretty repeatable. And Magen doesn't really help you in that situation. It's just more like I'm going to hold on to what I've already got. But I still want to talk about it. Beyond that, we're still going to be happy with Gravity Drive because more movement's always better.
Right.
Light Wave's okay, but it's not necessary for us.
Mm-hmm.
Fleet Logistics, I do like a lot for them. We are a faction where we're going to be probably aiming for that round 5 action phase win. So I would rather have it than not. But I think if I'm comparing Fleet Logistics versus X89, and I don't think you're going to be able to do both in most games.
No.
I agree with you. I would usually rather go the X89 path.
Yeah. It's really just like, it's like the path to X89 also has a lot of supplementals that we can make a lot of use out of.
Like a biostems along the way is cool.
I love biostems. I love transit. We've already talked about transit.
Transit is cool.
I love mixing integrated in there. It's like if we kind of pop in between green and yellow, there's a lot of stuff in those paths that are unlocking a lot of opportunities for us that can sort of add up to, it's like, it's not that any one individual tech is like better than Deep Blue. It's that all of them together just mean like, whoa, look at all this stuff we can do.
I mean,
it's crazy.
Transit in particular, we talked about the applications, but like that's one where you can make the weird breakthrough deals. You can place the PDS or Mechs, whatever, in their slice. And then once you're done, once you both have agreed that you're done with it, or you just want to, you can move all that stuff away.
Yeah.
And then you've got them available wherever you need to defend yourself. Or if it's infantry and mechs, like you can move them away and have more stuff that you can use to take sticks or whatnot. So it is one that's very good for them along the way to X89. So, I mean, I agree with you. In general, Saturn Engine 2 is the priority, and working my way up biostems, transit, and then X89 is kind of the next few for me.
Yeah. I will say AI dev this is my kind of old man take, because it's not fun and it's not sexy, but AI development algorithm is how you get Saturn Engine 2s as fast as you can and just get it done, basically.
If you have a red skip.
Sure.
There's a shout out to Psycho.
Yeah.
Because it does all the things we just talked
thing.
about. It gets you the Saturn Engine round 2 that you need. And it also gets you closer to X89.
Yeah, that's true.
So it is slice dependent, but I do think that there's an argument for Psycho for them now.
Yeah, it is true that it is slice dependent. But yeah, Psycho keeps coming down to like, well, what is that late game tech you're going to also get? But yeah, a lot of the time, if you don't have the right circumstances, then it's going to have to come down to a little bit of AI dev stuff. And if you have to do it, you have to do it. There is an upside, I would say, which is that like Destroyer 2s are kind of like a good like last minute addition to your fleet pool.
We built a lot of destroyers. Yeah. In my experience, I ended up getting Destroyer 2 a decent amount anyway, because I was just building them anyway in a lot of my games. So I agree.
Right. But to be fair, at the same time, in your Psycho situation, you can still get Destroyer 2. Like, I mean, you get Magen, which is like, I would say if you're going to get one of those like lower level red techs, like Magen is the one, I think.
Magen's the one you'd rather have.
For sure. It's very good. Just on activation, it helps you. Your power projection starts getting completely out of control. It's such a shame that you don't explore the planets in the fracture. I just wish you did so bad, because it would
unless someone terraforms it.
You gotta have somebody else go in first. They do the terraforming,
right?
And then this is a nice little deal. You're so right. You're so right. It's so simple. You just got to get them to do that for you. But yeah, I honestly, at this point, I'm getting to a point where when we talk about tech, I don't know how important laying out like a particular path is anymore, because I don't know if you have your breakthrough. I don't know what skips you have. We have so many variables now that I think it makes more sense just to be kind of telling you what tech in the deck in general are worth shooting for, and then you're going to have to just start charting your own path. We've got way too many variables with this. The fact that the synergy also applies to skips mean that yellow and green are effectively the same for you if you got the synergy.
Yeah,
but
as long as you got the breakthrough.
If you don't have the breakthrough, then obviously it's a very different world. And in a world where you don't have the breakthrough, this is why I say that I think the breakthrough is actually really good. Is I don't like that. I want to have the option to be getting into deep yellow and deep green at the same time.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I think there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be able to score most of the action phase secrets that come up. You're pretty good at those. So like having the option to pivot into those is nice. But like one tech that I think is probably below average for them compared to other factions is actually Sling Relay.
Yes. I agree.
The fact that they have cheap ships that they want to make, I mean, of course you'll use it if you get it. That's cool. But like comparing what you get out of going into Saturn Engine 2 and then Deep Green, that's usually going to be better than what you get after, an extra stall from Sling Relay. Even if you're doing like the thing that I talk about, like Sling Biostems, like, yes, it gets you 2 and 2 colors. So like maybe that's the one where you consider it. But like in general, Titans doesn't really have like a 2 resource planet floating around that they want to just go make more cruisers with. And you end up like being a little inefficient with like spending trade goods for something that like doesn't get you closer to Saturn Engine 2. So I think that's one that is below average for them compared to other factions.
Honestly, this is a quibble, but in your psychoarchaeology pitch, I almost would rather just have the biostems and get to double spend the red skip, and then for the rest of the game, just get a little extra economic boost out of that.
Yeah, if you can do biostems instead, that's great. It doesn't always work timing wise for breakthrough, but yeah, if you can do biostems instead, I agree. It's better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is, I think, all we got to say about tech. We're closing it up here. We're about 2.5 hours into this bad boy. Let's talk a little bit about trading, which I feel like we have basically already covered in other sections of the guide. But just to reiterate here, Terraforming is an excellent round 1 sale. It's worth more if you wait, but I think I got the vibe that we both sort of feel that it's probably better to just get the money or get whatever alliance out of it you're going to get than it is to
usually try to do it so early.
Out. Yeah. Just get it done. Because the other thing is, like, JJ was like humorously talking about like that you could use it in the fracture and then like get weird exploration stuff out of it. But it is a promissory note that if you trade it out there, you could eventually benefit from it if you just take the planet.
I mean, or just coexist with them, and now we're both there.
Yeah, so that's nice. So it's worth doing. The alliance is solid. Obviously, we've called out Arborek. Like SAR, also Cabal. Cabal's funny because they don't have to spend resources, so they just turn in all their captured plastic and they just get a trade good, which is like kind of nice for them. There are a lot of factions where it's just kind of okay, but I don't think anybody hates this alliance, so I feel like it's pretty easy to find somebody that is interested in it. We've already talked about the Nazroka thing. I like getting the Nazroka alliance because it's letting you put your sleepers out a little bit earlier. I want to take another point to emphasize my Faunus thing. That Faunus allows you to take a planet and then explore it and then put a sleeper token, which is just like a cool combo. I'm not even sure it's useful, but what do you think? What is like the number one alliance that you want if you could just have any, basically?
Good question.
Like normally the answer here is like the Nomad Alliance, but ironically we don't care. We get our flagship for free already.
Yeah, it's not even that good for us. So like I feel like the Crimson Alliance is a very high pick because we get into so many skirmishes. Like when I went to the Fracture and I got $3 off of doing it, that felt really good, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really good one for us because we are good at that mid-game combat kind of stuff.
And terraforming plus your alliance, like basically having it be an alliance swap with terraforming on top. As Crimson, I that's maybe enough for me. I maybe think,
I think
okay,
so.
this is pretty.
Well,
good
yeah, because
value.
it's an early, like the thing for Crimson is the early boost that they need, a little bit extra resources. Like that's kind of what you're looking for, and the extra trade goods along the way. Like, yeah, I think that ends up being pretty good for both sides.
Yeah. The only thing I came up with as like a special exception is the Barony Alliance can generate so much cash for you because you have so much sustain.
You have a lot of sustain.
You
have
don't
a lot of
remember the way
sustain.
that one works. Every time you sustain, you get a buck. So that's pretty sick.
I'm a fan of the Jolnar swap as well. Like,
oh yeah.
Part of it is for the alliance itself, but also part of it is just like the fact that if Jolnar's in the game, you have like a special relationship with them where, again, that E-res, putting down sleepers, drawing action cards, making Magen dudes, all of that nonsense you can do together with them. There's like a special relationship where even if you don't necessarily do the alliance swap, which I do like, I think that there's a lot of value you can generate with them. So that's one where Titans is even better than they normally would be.
Yeah. Always remember a reroll is a way bigger deal than an extra die. Basically.
Reroll is way better. Yep. It's better than plasma. It's better than like in that world, that's where Destroyer 2 looks really appealing. Because Destroyer 2 with the Jolnar Alliance and the Saturn engines, like that's a real serious fleet that's going to take down most of what anybody else is going to send at. Like the carrier fleet we were talking about.
Yeah. No, that's
like,
dead.
That's getting crushed now.
Yeah. And your fleet is so cheap comparatively. You know what I mean?
It's very cheap to do what we just talked about. Yeah.
Didn't cost you much. But yeah, so I think we have a relatively easy sort of trade meta situation outside of the fact that we are a 2 commodity faction, so we will just make naturally less money than other factions. But they do want our stuff. We're not going to have trouble selling these things. And if you're some other player, I mean it both ways. You should want terraforming. Terraforming is a promissory note you should want to get a hold of. Now, maybe you don't care about the alliance that much. Yeah, whatever. But the terraforming, it could pay off more than you even realize, basically, going into your game.
But with terraforming in particular, there is the secret objective for winning a combat against someone whose promissories note you had in your play area. Betray a friend. So Titans has a special relationship with that one because let's say I do that. I don't return the note. It's not like a regular alliance, but I have your terraforming in my play area. Now, anytime I just win a combat against Titans, I'll score it. Or can score it. So like it's one of those two where if you have that secret, it's a little even better than what it normally would look like. So there's not a lot of promissories that stay in the play area like that, but that's definitely one that stands out. Yeah,
I like that. That's a very, very good point that I would hate to skip. You can betray over and over. Just never stop betraying.
That's right.
Endlessly. Endless betray.
Especially if it's Hunter.
Yeah, especially if it's me. Definitely betray your friend if I am your friend, for sure. But all right, let's close it up. Let's talk about late game scoring, fracture, that kind of stuff. This is a little bit redundant at this point. We have said endlessly that you're so good at stage 1s. We're good at tech. We start with 2 tech, okay? We have unit upgrades we want to get. We're not deep route level. We're not Jolnar level. But outside of that, I would say we're doing pretty good. Structures, obviously, easy peasy. We got it. It's done. It's all there on the sheet. We don't have to study for the test because it's open book. Control objectives. We've got even more options these days. With the breakthrough, now we have more ways to score control objectives, and we were already good at that stuff. Economic is maybe our weakest category, right? We don't make quite as much money as everybody else, but I don't know. I mean, we got to have some disadvantage somewhere, and even this one is sort of questionable. You get to a point where, if you have a good slice, if you've taken a valuable equidistant, we generally get a little more on the board than our neighbors. Just in general, that's going to be something that happens. So hopefully you're making up for your economy with good planets that you are getting that value out of.
Yeah.
And we get our flagship for free. Don't forget about that. All right. Anything flagship wise, it's easy peasy. We got it done. Some of the stage 2s are like surprisingly easy for us. In fact, like we're kind of, there's some stage 2s where we're like literally the best in the world. Like here's one that I think is great. Rule distant lands as Titans.
Yeah.
So like the dream would be to make a deal round 1 to with your breakthrough in order to get rule distant lands, and then it comes out, and then you get to like play defense with like your one Hel-Titan, like just kind of like sneaked into somebody's zone. Or maybe it's even weirder than that. You have a sleeper token you've left somewhere that you've forgotten about that you then redeem next to someone's home system. There's obvious ones though, you know, like any control objective, we have like a slight edge on. Structure objectives, we have a massive edge on. I mean, it's just completely easy peasy with the stage 2s there. I don't know. I just generally think that they're just set up good to score. We've talked about secrets already. There's so many secrets that Titans has all of these sort of sideways abilities to pivot into that other factions. If you didn't see it coming, you just can't get it. You know, and I just think they're really, really solid. I guess if I had to pick one that I hate more, it would be make an example. I don't want to build dreadnoughts. You know,
that one's pretty tough for them.
Yeah, that's
not
they
don't want dreads. I agree.
No, but make an example is always a funny one because like you can always find some planet somewhere with just a guy, and then sort of go, you know, from that point. I want to talk about the fracture though, because that's maybe something that's gone under discussed. So I really, really love having an Ingress token in your slice as Titans, one that I can stage at, one that I can put Hel-Titans down and have it be my, like, this is where I produce. And there's 2 reasons. First of all, Saturn Engine 2's 3 movement, counted up, 1 into the fracture, 2 next to sticks, 3 sticks. We did it. Easy peasy.
We did it.
There's another one, though, which is 1 into the fracture, 2 out of the fracture in somebody else's slice, 3 in whatever system it is over there that I'm trying to get into, or possibly even a Winslay. Yeah, into their home system.
Yeah.
Like, it's really quite versatile, the whole fracture system for them. So don't sleep on their fracture abilities, because I don't know. Even though they can't get, you know, they need transit in order to get their Hel-Titans into the fracture for the most part, outside of your terraforming edge case. I do think that the 3 movement Saturn Engine 2s are just built for that going into the fracture. I love it.
They really are. They're very good. Yeah. Like they shine in the early to mid game, and that's when you're going to be taking the relics from the fracture. And that's you should probably be trying to do that. Like I would say in the order of things for round 2, it's more important if you have to make the choice. It's more important to get your custodians or imperial point, whichever way you're going.
Right.
But after that, after that, it's scoring your public, and then after that is getting relics from the fracture, and you're pretty good at doing that round 2.
Yeah. I honestly, I just want to say too that I just love these guys. Like they're just a very fun faction to play. I have never put them in my like top 3. In POK, they were like maybe they were in my top 5, but they didn't take one of those top 3 spots. And I'm really tempted to say they might be like a top 3 for me these days. Like I had a lot of fun.
They're not top 3 for me, but I can see it. Like they're a very good faction. I mean, for me, they're more like top 5, but like, I'm not going to argue with it too much if somebody says it's their top 3. They're very good.
They're very good. I played 3 research games for Titans, and I won 2 of them, which I said that seems awfully. And the one that I didn't win, there was a lot of other factors, like having a really, really poor slice and other stuff. But like winning 2 of 3, I consider that a little like. If I'm doing that, then we must be talking about something like really solid, basically. And I won 2 of 3, and I did not get to do. I don't live in JJ world. I don't get to do a bunch of coexistence and stuff in order to like grease the wheels a little bit. I was just,
just fighting for it.
I was essentially playing POK with Synergy. I mean, like basically that was it. And I was still able to make it happen. And I feel like you also have like generally a pretty high success. I feel like I've at least seen you win 2 games as Titans in my mind. I can recall right now.
I mean, you mentioned the Minneapolis game, right?
Yes.
Like that was one. I mean, Titans is a good faction, and I think they're one for me that I rate pretty highly. I'm happy to take them. I think they're great.
Yeah.
Like in terms of who I don't keep track of like detailed win stats stuff, but like if I did, Titans is probably one of the ones where it's better than average for me personally.
Yeah. I think that's true for me as well. So I just think I think they're great. I think if you listened all the way through this, you got a lot of good pointers from, I would say, 2 Titans experts is what you're dealing with right here. Absolute Titans experts that are coming at this from 2 different angles even, and we're still finding success,
Would you say that we're Titans of the podcasting world?
We are Titans of this particular episode of the podcast. Yeah, I would say that. We are Titans of this 2-hour, 45-minute podcast.
Oh God.
Titans of all.
I'm sorry.
What happened? How did we do this? What did something happen? I'm sorry. Hey, I blacked out. JJ, what happened? Why? Hey, JJ, I got sleepy. Somehow it's almost 3 hours of podcasting. What happened there?
I think what happened is I told you I didn't have a time limit anymore, and we were just like, all right, let's just go chill and just have a good time.
We pulled this podcast up like covers, like blanket. We snuggled into this podcast and was just like, oh yeah, let's savor,
We were in our slumber state and we were just
we were sleepering into this one. We were in dormancy. I don't normally do this in the meat of the episode, but I will say, give us for this one, if you made it to this point in the episode, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts right now and say these guys did over 3 hours of podcasting for me. That 5 stars for 3 hours. That's the deal. Okay, do it right now.